That MPP for you, Nana, and President Matthew Napo, Ambassador Nana, and not just if you have a MPP, and
the MPP has appointed my grandchild, Napo. That does not mean I have sold my palace or house to the MPP. I can only render my blessings to you and urge you to work hard with all that you have. God is the maker of kings, and without him, you can never be a leader you wish to be.
We scouted through the various police stations, and then at around 9 p.m., we found her at Kaneshi. I requested from the counter NCO to speak to my sister. What she could do best was to refer me to their station officer. And then the station officer said they were working under specific instructions from the regional command that those who were arrested in relation to the protest shouldn't be allowed any form of access by anybody, not a family member, not even a lawyer. The caller told me that my sister is not fine and so we should come and see her. I walked back to the gate. The officer in charge said no. My sister has complicated health issues. She's diabetic, she's asthmatic, and then she has glaucoma. We are not able to tell whether she's in a stable condition or not. Asthma can be triggered at any time. BP can be triggered at any time and place her in danger. We do not understand why someone who ordinarily was just filming the protest or streaming the proceedings of the protest live on his social media handle should be arrested and then detained for 3 good days.
You
all know I hate Galamsey. I fight against it. It, however, does not mean that you shouldn't mine. We own the gold. There are good ways of mining. If you make an application, you'll be taught how to correctly mine. Those calling for state of emergency, a ban on mining, are not considering its impact. It will have dire consequences. People can lose their jobs. Do you know how much money we'll lose?
Well, so what must give? What must give for us to win this fight against illegal mining? The man you just heard there is the president of the National House of Chiefs. That's also his response to the calls for a ban, at least for a period, on all forms of small-scale mining so as to regain those water bodies we are losing. In fact, according to the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, all our 5 water systems, all of them are almost gone. You should think about it. And that's the main reason why these Democracy Hub protesters were on the streets exactly a week ago. We saw how things played out. A number of them, over 50 of them, have been arrested, detained in both police and prison custody. A number of issues have played out since then. A fundamental question on the minds of many, and which we're going to talk about this morning, is where lies the justification of they being still held in detention and the circumstances surrounding everything that happened over that particular 3-day period that they were on the streets. The police has admitted arresting and detaining some persons beyond the 48-hour rule. What does all of that mean? They've made reference and referred it to their body for investigation. In fact, there are calls to have another independent institution investigate all of that, because we have seen instances in the past the police investigates itself and nothing comes out of it. This is a conversation we would have this morning here on Key Point, because we're going to be having demonstrations in the coming months, days, weeks, years. As a matter of fact, this is not going to be the last demonstration. So if things went wrong, we would not discuss this as an event. what has to be done, what processes have to be put in place to ensure that we don't repeat some of these things that we saw or we are seeing. That's the conversation we'll have this morning here on Key Point. And also, as we keep our eyes on how things are playing out with the Electoral Commission, the NDC, the PPP, and other like-minded political parties and groups, the latest to join in the call for the Electoral Commission to consider addressing the issues of the stakeholders is the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO. Well, the Electoral Commission has responded to the issues and the petition by the NDC, detailing why there's really no need for a forensic audit as we speak and where we are now. Does that answer the questions that the NDC had? What are the issues, real issues at play? They have admitted to the errors, but say their IT systems are robust to address the issues. What does the NDC think of this? And the NPP as well, that has identified that their own set of errors, which last week they indicated they would submit to the Electoral Commission this past week. Has that been done? We will find out this morning. Well, if you're concerned about how the electricity distribution company is being run and the streak of losses that we have seen, and also the under-collection of revenue, the power that we're using, and all the issues about the heads of those institutions resigning for personal reasons. Because think about it. The board chair, the former board chair of ECG, resigned for personal reasons. You recall that? Kelly Gajepo. The managing director of ECG this past week has also resigned for personal reasons. What is in the ECG that is causing these people at the helm of affairs to resign for personal reasons? That's the question that we're asking this morning. And guess what? We have a few people who have an idea of how things are playing out. So they will join us. Welcome to Key Point. My guests will be joining me right after this quick break. So stay with us. Don't go away. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Welcome.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luckiest everywhere.
8K. Hey, you get an 8K. Get a packing so you have to one lie. Hey, wait.
You can put it on his tab. This is my man. Good luck.
Hey, Bill Radio. We have star 712. It's much more phone. I'm on dialing the magic numbers. Star 712. Now welcome to the luckiest. And now with me at home ticket. You can buy for yourself or your loved one.
Mommy, tell mommy who's here.
You're buying for me, right?
Or who else?
Oh.
Let's choose buy tickets for adults.
Love you, boo boo.
Maybe straight to option 4. Now, you need to buy tickets worth 50 Ghana to qualify. Yes, you can buy random or preferred tickets. I'm choosing random tickets. Listen, if you buy the random ticket, the system chooses a random number for you. But if you buy the preferred, you get to input your own preferred 5 digits. 5.
Baby, give me your 5 numbers.
And how much are we buying?
Babe, look at the body and buy you.
With your body, Hey, there tread cautiously. Now follow the prompts and confirm. Now the luckiest.
The luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. T&Cs apply.
Auntie, nothing I want what I'm over me one money my busa. Auntie Emma, the patch or me by a school, a university. Nascania 2005. And yet, dear Menia, to my even to my summit, the brown up paper crack. No, the family. Oh, yes, men's Fantoman go to feed. And to what is that John Dramani Mahama? Any NDC for say, saying, I may have done a gun for 12 mana. Waba. Aba University bia, Technical University, College of Education, Nursing Training, woman nyina academic fees for first year. Hey, free, no stress.
Adama ujiti. Atadwen, another matter then there.
Auntie esi. Hey, she, ebiem. Was say, enka nebo siana na obo wo ma omo to school so no. Se na obo ne ba ko a, se wo so obesi ho. E dia ma oma omo to so no.
Ane enya me sha John Mahama.
Ye hye me so mu kra ne se. Ye nuanu ma omo gidem asabi graduate omo ko school pon no. Was say wo mu nyina wo ba. Eye free.
Ane siama.
Yay.
Enka me ko nanka na ye 7 December. Nanka ya to aba na my papa Mahama. Amana be ya president.
Hwe wasit na moto aba pa. E de sakra ya papa beba wa brabo mu. To aba ma John Mahama ne NDC.
When you're about to administer that anesthesia every single day in theater, what comes into your head?
So before every procedure, I pray.
Okay.
I'm like, dear Lord, give us a safe takeoff and a safe landing.
Right.
For our job, you need to be really vigilant because you are literally holding life and death in your hands.
This week on Today's Woman, we experience the life and the journey of an intensivist and an anesthesiologist. Her name is Dr. Lorraine Bafo-Ewa at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
In some spheres, it is known as the truth serum. Because when we give it to you,
make a date with us, Today's Woman, with me, Cookie.
Brought to you by Logistical.
If you're Ghanaian and you love your rice and your curry, then be interested in the task for the week.
And as for John, whatever we touch, it becomes gold.
Together, we will make this happen.
Don't underestimate us at all. What you're going to do in the kitchen, the submission that will do the talking.
To the other schools, I don't know about them, but we were coming with the best of them.
Which secret recipe is going to make the difference?
Kitchen Wars is brought to you by Kivo Foods, Everpack, Mazim Foods, Miss Cookie Spices, Chana Shito.
The TechnoSpark 30C. You could be a proud owner of this phone. Simply follow the award-winning show Ghana's Most Beautiful either on TV or online on any of our social media platforms. Vote for your favorite contestant, and if you emerge the highest voter after the competition, you walk home with a TechnoSpark 30C. Absolutely free. Pick up your phones today, vote your favorite contestant to victory, and win the TechnoSpark 30C. Ghana's Most Beautiful highest voter promo is powered by TechnoSpark 30C. Ghana's Most Beautiful, uniquely Ghanaian, exceptionally African.
The news never stops. If it's not breaking, developing, the news lends itself to significant analysis, broad context through explainers, and the features that give stories more life. That's what we offer on Weekend Central. News, features, analysis, the full package. Weekend Central, Saturdays and Sundays at 12 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
This is Hot Issues, your passport to the most compelling conversations of our time. We go one-on-one with the movers and shakers, the thought leaders, and the game changers. We ask the questions that matter, and we don't back down.
Tonight on Hot Issues, I sit with the man at the Center of Corruption Investigations.
Join me on Hot Issues here on TV3.
Hot Issues shows Sundays at 2 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
Is there an element in the NPP's manifesto that you say would give the average Ghanaian some ease?
It is through education, knowing that whatever we set our minds to, we can do it.
We've been talking so much about raising future leaders. If all the mothers are going to work, who will be home to take care of our kids?
Can you can a can as a canner can a can?
Have you ever secretly wished for an extra holiday just to avoid the Monday morning? It was a secret. I made it very clear.
The Ladies Circle shows this Saturday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Yaz Sanitary Pad, MTN,
Yaz toothpaste and brushes, Woodine,
Cowbell Coffee.
In a world where every moment counts, one team stands ready to deliver the news that shapes our lives. A team driven by truth, integrity, and unwavering dedication. They travel to the front lines in the tireless pursuit of truth to bring you the world stories like never before. Get ready to witness the stories that matter. We have the most trusted voices in journalism who are committed to delivering accurate, balanced, and thought-provoking news. TV3, first in news.
In a world where stories delay foods, Tabia Takum.
The Delay Show, Sunday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Various police stations, and then at around 9 p.m. we found her at Kaneshi. I requested from the counter NCO to speak to my sister. What she could do best was to refer me to their station officer. And then the station officer said they were working under specific instructions from the regional command that those who were arrested in relation to the protest shouldn't be allowed any form of access by anybody, not a family member, not even a lawyer. The caller told me that my sister is not fine and so we should come and see her. I walked back to the gate. The officer in charge said no. My sister has complicated health issues. She's diabetic, she's asthmatic, and then she has glaucoma. We are not able to tell whether she's in a stable condition or not. Asthma can be triggered at any time. BP can be triggered at any time and place her in danger. We do not understand why someone who ordinarily was just filming the protest or streaming the proceedings of the protest live on his social media handle should be arrested and then detained for 3 good days.
Well, and welcome back to Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. 22 minutes after 7 this morning. And look, if you're just joining us, we are live on a number of radio stations across the country. So you can also listen to us. But we're very, very interactive. So as we go on, you can share your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions and read out to you and to the rest of the world. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Now, a number of groups and individuals have been speaking about this, the aftermath of this 3-day Democracy Hub demonstration. And it's gained international attention as well. But this is Amnesty International. They put out this earlier in the week. We've heard from CDD. The Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative as well have issued a statement. But just take a look at this. From Amnesty International, requesting a list of all the detained protesters and where they are stationed so they can be granted access to them, essentially, and then also make the point that an independent investigation on this matter be immediately conducted and actions taken to ensure that such injustice and inhuman treatment to citizens of the Republic of Ghana does not happen again. Well, the CDD also put out this earlier within the week, in fact, some 2 days ago. They describe, in fact, they condemn the following actions: the unnecessary manhandling and brutality of citizens exercising their civic and political right to protest, the refusal by the police to release the complete list of arrested individuals. And that's another issue that's come up. Now, the police, in their statement just about 2 days ago, indicated that the protesters are 54, we've always had this report that there were 46. Now we do know that they are 54. They say the failure to notify lawyers of the detained individuals before their arraignment, before the circuit court, that's another issue that has come up, because the lawyers say that they did not even know where these persons were being held, because the police spread them across almost about 16 police stations, and they didn't have access to them. And then also the prolonged detention of protesters beyond the 48 hours without being brought before a competent court violates Article 14.3 of the 1992 Constitution. The police has eventually come to admit that indeed they held two protesters beyond the 48-hour rule. Now, what's the remedy to this? It's a conversation that we'll have this morning. And thankfully, when it comes to the issues and the law on bail in this country, we have somebody who challenged the law and won in multiple circumstances and has inked his name in the legal jurisprudence of this country when it comes to the law on bail. And he's our guest. Martin Kpebu is private legal practitioner, leader of the Komipeko Reloaded demonstration, and then also one of 3 individual bondholder groups. And the man who, because of him, today we talk about all offenses being available. But then the argument is that it's with conditions. Lawyer Martin Kpebu, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Ocansey. Thank you. It's good to be here once again. I've learned recently that our show is the best in the country. Eh? It's the most watched. Yeah, we've worked hard, right?
Indeed, indeed.
And
thanks
hard,
to you
yes.
and many.
Yeah, that's good, that's good.
Now,
and as usual, just the 2 greetings, or 3. Let me greet Kentucky Teku Churu. That's Gamanche, the venerable Gamanche. We are forever grateful for your wading into the Sicilia Dapa matter. Gamanche says, how can one woman have so much money under her bed? And today, Ghana cannot even find money to get a proper pitch. We are begging to go and play this football there. Can you imagine? Then, number 2, I say Adeyo Ajimabedu II, Domahini. Yes, good morning. He also has been wading in, you know, this Galamsey fight. He also gave government a 1-month ultimatum. Good. And then go also Nana Kwesi Bosompra. Yes, you know, he has also waded into the EC matter.
Yes. Calling
on the EC to allow the forensic audit to go on. So Nana Gosuhini, we are grateful. And of course, Sophia Kufu, yes, Antwa. Today, you see, we'll be talking about the 48-hour 48 hours is 48 hours, the
Indeed.
Supreme Court decision. That's Sophia Kufu's last judgment on the Supreme Court before she left. So usually it's called valedictory judgment. That was the last judgment. I'm sure we'll come.
That was in sometime in 2019?
Yes, yes, December 2019. So that's Martin Kpebu number 4 versus Attorney General number 4. Yes, to put it it's public spirit. It's a court.
That's Kpebu number 4.
Yes. So you see that these cases are cases that actually the Supreme Court saw that as we developed, personal liberties were left behind. So the court thought that no, in this series of cases, they would also improve the law. So really, it's not about me at all. Me, I don't need any publicity. It's the Supreme Court. From Chief Justice George Nawu to Eni Yebua, and then Sophia Kufu, you know, or from George Nawu to Sophia Kufu to Eni Yebua. Yes, so it's the court that is sought to improve the law. As for people, just leave my name out. It doesn't matter.
How
much.
can we leave your name out? You always accuse me of being modest in celebrating success. But this is you. You spent your own money to go and test the law, isn't it?
Yeah, no, because we're feeling it.
It has improved our jurisprudence.
Yeah, yes.
So congratulations to you.
And to the Supreme Court especially. Because paper number 2 was tough, the non-bailable decision. Because even if you look, the UK, US, no, their law doesn't match ours. They still have some clauses there. We will just remove them and say, look, leave it to the judge. Yes, we have removed them. Because when you read the analysis, you see Georgina Wood, Justice Benin, etc. They analyze UK and US and you see that they still have clauses when it comes to extradition and the rest. But we saw that ours, the more you put fetters there, they will be subject to abuse. So we just cleared it and say, look, everything is in the hands of the judge. Let the judge do it, rather than you allow Parliament to tie the hands of the judge, right? Yeah, so ours is better. Oh, Mr. Ocansey, and then one very sad thing. Mr. Adam Bona, you are a security analyst. People are dying in Donkokrum and Kwewutafo. DSP Azugu, they say Ayawasu West Wagon man. Yeah, they are killing Fulanis. Within 1.5 years, 10 Fulanis, I have seen that 10 Fulanis have been killed, and their cattle taken. Yeah, Azugu, and Kwewutafo, and then Kurantin in Donkokrum. They are killing Fulanis. Look, last Thursday they came there, the Fulani community, they came there to lodge a complaint. 10 people, 10 of their members.
It's a matter we need to look into.
Okay.
And even though we don't have knowledge of this,
yes,
you know, and cannot independently confirm this.
Just send your reporters to the homicide unit. Yeah,
100%. Yeah. And so we'll look into. But at least thank you for bringing my notice to this, and this is one that we'll look into as well. But also, because you've mentioned names already, Dr. Adam Bona is a security analyst. He's joining us in the studio. Dr. Bona, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
A former Deputy Attorney General, and it's for good reason that he's here, because it's mostly about the law this morning. Dr. Dominic Ayeni, I thank you so much for making the time to come as well. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. And also, I will be joined, in fact, Lawyer Kingsley Amwakwa Buidu is a private legal practitioner as well. He's a member of the MPP Communications and Legal Directorate. He's going to be joining us in a bit on this matter, and then we'll get into it. But a number of things, and let's start off first with Lamatik Pebu, and just first on this arrest, because there's that concern from the lawyers of these protesters who were held. Now we know they are 54, according to the police statement, that as of the day before they were arraigned before court, one, they didn't know where these protesters were, even though eventually some of them got knowledge of some of the police stations that they were being held, about 16 of them.
Yes.
And then also they were denied access to legal counsel.
Thank you.
And also access to their family members.
Yes.
Now, the police says that's not the case. But if you look at how things are played out, is it consistent with practice that in instances like this, when people are picked up at a protest, held, going to be arraigned before court, they don't even have, in fact, their lawyers don't have an idea of the charges they're going to be preferred against, and then also being denied access to their legal counsel and their family members?
Not at all. Not at all. So as those things happened, I mean, I felt like this wasn't Ghana. This wasn't Ghana. These things you've mentioned constitute a grave violation of our constitution. We'll be going shortly to Article 19, Clause 2, right? Yes. So as the police arrested these persons and would not allow lawyers to have access to them, would not allow relations to have access to them, I was like, what's the crime? Why? For these small offenses, later I'll come in. Yes, I know some of them, if you say stealing, maybe a second-degree felony. But in this context, I mean small, compared to Chairman Wuntumi, who has degraded the Tanonimri Forest, doing Galamsey, and he's walking free. And IG still has his office, and Madame Fosnando Kofi still has her office as CID boss. And then these young people come to draw our attention, and they get thrown into custody. I'm like, come on, this one pales. Blocking roads to 37, all right, etc., pales in the shadow of Chairman Wuntumi, degrading the Tanonimri Forest. The size of over 10 football fields. If you watch the Erastus Asaredonko documentary, which we presented to the CID as part of our petition, that's myself, Ken Ashibe, Kwame Saponasidu, and Edem Senano. That's one petition. And then the second petition was by the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. They presented theirs to IG. and IG presented that petition to Madam Ando-Kofi. So Madam Ando-Kofi is sitting on 2 petitions, which now they are involved in doing some pussyfooting, kukwasa, some slow motion. They thought they could just play it very slow and then this government will go out. But unfortunately, see, Galamsey is back and now it's eggs on the face of IG and Madam Ando-Kofi, trying to aid criminals, trying to aid people who are...
So you haven't gotten updates on how far they've gone with it?
No, not at all. The last update we got was over a year ago when they informed us that Chairman Wuntimi had been called in, and Chairman Wuntimi is Ashanti Regional Chair of the MPP. He had been called in, his statement taken, and then he was granted bail. So Wuntimi, I'm not advocating that Wuntimi be put in cells. So Wuntimi, who degraded the Tano Nimere Forest and other person, he hasn't even gone into the cells. Then the young people who came and allegedly blocked, because the case has not been dealt with, I have to say allegedly because they've not been convicted, blocked roads or took keys, they are in cells for 2 weeks. It doesn't make sense. Not anywhere, except in a banana republic. It doesn't make sense.
So then you were going to get into the position of the law.
Of the law.
Yes, they are suspects.
Yes. Yes.
And
now they are accused persons.
Yes.
Okay, by an ordinary language, if you say suspect, meaning that they are still innocent. So it's fine. So please, the lawyers will not be tied to strict legal terms. If you say suspect in ordinary language, viewers would understand. So though I will not be using accuse all the time. Sometimes we say suspect because we want effective communication, the one that will make viewers understand.
Indeed. So what does
yes.
the law
So Article 19, Clause 2, right, makes it clear it has a number of provisions. Now, I'm interested in the one that says that when you arrest a person, right, says a person charged with a criminal offense shall, I'm interested in the E. It says, be given adequate time and facilities for the preparation of his defense. Be given adequate time and facilities for the preparation of his defense. So he would need a lawyer. The person is a lay person. When you take them into custody, there are 2 types of statement they take at the police station. You hear one, caution statement, caution, like the word warning. And then, but there is a ED at the end, cautioned, with an ED at the end. Caution statement, and then charge statement. So those are statements that the lay person has to write. So he will need a lawyer. He would need a lawyer. Because earlier we've admitted that this is a person who is in custody will need a lawyer. That is the essence of Article 19. So he needs adequate time and facilities. Facilities will include getting a lawyer. You go on to F, and it says, be permitted to defend himself before the court in person or by a lawyer of his choice. So you see lawyers are mentioned in there. So before you go to court, these statements are going to be written, and so you need a lawyer, because if you take it literally that he should write his own statement, then when he gets to court, a lawyer will come in. It's like you'll be turning the law over his head. Because if he writes statements that incriminate himself or doesn't write things that will exculpate, show that he's not the one, he would have more or less, like we say in Ghanaian English, spoiled the case before it gets to the court. So you need a lawyer in there from day one.
And if the police says this in their statement, that they indeed allowed them legal access, but initially they didn't want to have anything to do with the police, and that they were not answering questions, it was when they got to know that they were going to be taken to court that they gave their real names and so on, because at some point they were giving multiple names. Is that enough to justify they not being given access?
Not at all. Not at all. Look, these are serious matters. These are constitutional. These are constitution. And look, you know what? These matters I'm talking about, very soon we'll come to this book. The police itself, they've written a book. It goes beyond the constitutional provisions here. It's called Service Instructions. You see them talking about fundamental human rights. And IG Dampare was part of those who drew it up. So the police themselves have written and say, look, they respect fundamental human rights, they will protect fundamental human rights, etc. So please, that is not an answer. IG's name is here. He's number 5 on the list of those who were in the take of affairs in drafting these rules, right? So what the point we're making is that, yes, IG is here. That time, yes, number 5, COP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, Director General ICT. committee membership. So at the time they were drawing it, he was Director General ICT. So today he cannot feign ignorance of the law he himself read. And this is not the first version. When we say service instructions, this is not the first version. There've been older versions. When you go to the police headquarters, you know, one thing I always regret is that in law school, I was never shown this document. It took about 10 years after law school before I chanced upon it. So please, the lawyers, if you want to buy it, go to the back of the police headquarters. The shops there, that's where you get it. So that's the police, their own manual, talking about human rights. If there's time, we'll read copiously from it. Even the older versions, you see it. Police give them food 3 times a day, etc. Yeah.
Now they've modified.
Yes.
Persons who are held in detention.
Food 3 times a day. The older version. Now you see they've changed the language a bit. Then they say protect their human rights. Of course, Ghana is moved forward. So if in the older version you say give food 3 times, and now in section 15 you say
when they said they give them, you know.
Oh, that was debunked. That was debunked. So that was debunked. They couldn't prove it. Today, you see, the police should know that because they've lost the public trust and confidence, if you are doing such a thing, gather evidence. The people who bring in the food, yes, there should be video, etc. Yes, but you see, you should always anticipate your opponent. You know that, look, public trust and confidence in IG Dan Paris leadership is at an all-time low. So you should know that everything you're doing, there will be skeptics. So what do? Get video evidence. Now, when you go to the demos, you see that the police themselves have their own cameramen there.
Yes.
So in the same way, if you are bringing food in, can't you see that people may say they've not received the food? So have video evidence of it, time. So you know the way you can snap a picture, it will show. So if it's 9 a.m., it will show. So if, what do you call it, in the afternoon, lunch, you bring lunch, 1 p.m., you snap, it will show. You know, there should be a way, because the way they are dealing with this whole matter is as if they can't anticipate what the public will do. And as a public officer, if you can't anticipate reactions from the customers or those you serve, then it tells you that your thinking is deficit. So let's go back directly to what you said. The last question was that the police say because the protesters were not talking. If the person gives you multiple names, this is not the first time. So you say Kwesi Yakubu, alias. So if he gave you 2 more aliases, you record that down. He told you. If he says, I'm Kwesi Yakubu, the next time is Kwame Chere, you write it down. You write it down. People have nicknames. You see on the charge sheet, they write Kwesi Yakubu, alias this, right? So that's not an answer. Then number 2, you can't say because he's not answering how you want him to answer, then that means you should starve the person. That means you should not let the person see a lawyer. No. This right to counsel is absolute in this context. Unless the lawyer had appeared there with a gun, in which case, but lawyer, why are you coming with a gun? Are you coming to harm us, etc.? Those haven't happened. So when I say absolute, please, I'm talking about absolute in this context. But in law, you can never say there's any rule which is absolute all the time. No, something will arise that may warrant the curtailment of a right to a certain extent. As I said, assuming the lawyer was to come in there with a gun, which is preposterous, but I'm just showing you as an example.
Right.
So please, 19 clause 2 cannot be whittled away because an accused person has given a different name. Accused giving different names, it's normal. Look, you go to prisons, it's a normal thing, it's been there for long, all right? Even abroad, it happens, right? I'm not justifying it, but I just want us to know that police, that is your work, so you should be used to it, that accused persons will change names, etc. So that is it. Then the accused, they've complained that they were not even informed, okay, about the nature, okay, of the offense they had committed. So 19 clause 2D says, when you arrest the person, when you charge, okay, you have to inform the person immediately. So I'm interested in 14 clause 3. Yeah, when you arrest the person, you have to inform him immediately of the offense. Why are you arresting him? So they are saying that most of them, they were never told anything. They were just taken in straight into custody, and then they will not allow them to see family. They will not allow them to see lawyers. So Article 14 clause 2. So we want to use 14.2 first. At the time of arrest, it says a person who is arrested, restricted, or detained shall be informed immediately. So that's at the time of arresting the person, in a language he understands, of the reasons for his arrest, restriction, or detention, and of his right to a lawyer of his choice. So you see the thing we were talking about earlier. So at the time of arrest, you know how arrest is done? The police has to hit your body, slightly touch you. Okay, not hit. If you say hit, somebody will make it a slap. So he will touch you and say, look, you are under arrest. Then he has to tell you.
We'll see the charges that was.
That's ex post facto. This one is talking about the time you arrest him. So when you get hold of him, and you mean...
So at the time they were arrested,
yes,
at 37,
yes,
at that point...
You have to tell him, them, I'm arresting you because listen, under our law, maybe what you've done here is this and this offense. You should know. You can't just come and start arresting the person if you've not done your research. Please, let's be very clear. You can't arrest the person if you don't know what crime he has committed. So by the time you are arresting him, yes, later on, your investigations can reveal other offenses. But minimum, at the time you are arresting him, you should know one offense. You can't just say, I've arrested you.
The protesters said they weren't told.
Yes, it's all of them. The police has not denied that one. Check all the statements. They have not denied that one. So please, this one takes effect. Immediately you hold the person and you don't intend to let him go. Hey, Mr. Ocansey, I've arrested you because you're blocking this road constitutes a criminal offense, or you're hitting Mr. X is assault, okay, or you're taking this phone without permission is stealing. You have to, it says in a language he understands of the reasons for his arrest, the restriction or detention, and of his right to a lawyer.
At that point of arrest, they should have known that they are being charged with unlawful assembly, causing unlawful damage, and offensive conduct.
Yes.
These are the charges.
Yes. So please, you can't arrest the person if you don't know the offense. And as I've said, other offenses can come in later. But if you don't know any offense somebody is being charged with, in this context, please, in this context, because when it comes to diseases, emergencies, and the same Article 14, somebody can be taken into custody for personal safety and the rest. Please, we are not talking about that one. So please, pardon me, anytime I'm making categorical statement, let me make this one time a caveat. In this context, so I'm not making categorical statements for all time. No, in this context. So you should know. You say he's playing football or he's blocked the road. What offense is that? He should know. You cannot just take him into custody and then later go and open the law books and start looking for offenses. No, that is what it means by you should have done your investigations and gotten what we call probable cause. Please, that's a technical word, probable cause. So you should know that what he has done is probably this offense. If you don't know any offense, you can't arrest him like that. As I've said, I've made the exception for when somebody quarantined because of disease like COVID and the rest. That's not what we are talking about here. But in this case, you should know. That's one. So, and you see, have you seen the police talk about that one at the time of the arrest? No. All of their statements, have you seen them? They've not addressed it. The ones they want to address, they will address. Later, we'll come to how they even did the medical test on the Gloria Louise without consent and put out somebody's medical information. How? Okay, so you are talking about one, the access to the lawyers. Then two, the feeding. I'm a governor, okay? I'm Abebio, yes? She says they were starved. Felicity Nelson, she said it, they were starved. Each time, they're giving food on their way to court. You see, so that they can come and inform Justice Obri Ebua that they've given them food. I mean, that is bad faith. Your own law says that you protect human rights. Your own service instructions. You say you protect human rights. You are not giving them food. You wait. Well, on their way to court, that is when you now come and give them food so that you can inform the court that, yes, you've given them food. Please, that is not law. That is bad faith. Which other of the infractions are we talking about? Beyond 48 hours. That's the next one.
Well, so, yes,
paragraph 21.
Before you even read that, the police itself, I think in their last statement that they put out, have indicated that they held two persons beyond the 48 hours, and that matter has been referred to the Police Professional Standards Bureau, formerly PIPS. And so, in order to establish exactly how and why these persons were held beyond 48 hours without being sent to court, for necessary disciplinary action to be taken against those responsible. Per the records as you have it, I say as you have it because you have been involved in the thick of affairs with these protesters who have been arrested.
Yes.
Is it the case that only 2 of them were held beyond 48 hours, as you do know?
Because of the restrictions on seeing the suspect accused persons, I've not been seen any information beyond the 2. But in the coming days, yes, we would go into that. We will go to, you know, these are persons that for quite a number, almost all of them, the first time lawyers had access to them was when they were being brought to court. Okay, that's brought to the court. Look, there's even one of them. Morning. Yes, even one of them, to the extent that he was taken to Circuit Court 10. No lawyer had seen him. So the case was called, and Noah Adamte, lawyer who appeared for him, said, oh, my lord, I think that's Benjamin Daku's case. My lord, oh, can the case be stood down so that I'll have conference with the client? The judge said, no. In the public interest, we will just remand him. So lawyer and accused, Dr. Ayine, you have taught us law. Somebody is being brought to court. He's not seen a lawyer. The lawyer has appeared in court. My lord, can we stand down this case? Let me have conference. Let me have conference. The judge said, no. In the public interest, I'm remanding him. And just remanded, just like that, offhandedly. Meanwhile, those are the very things that the Supreme Court sought to stop in table number 2. When you read the decision over 100 pages, you see them bemoaning the way judges have abused the rights of citizens. Why? They give you power. What's the rush? What's the rush? Just give the lawyer 10 minutes to talk to the client. Noah Adamte, he was in court 10. Just as this is Samoa, yes, Evelyn. Court 10, Noah is there. He came and reported. If you say it's false, well, we can activate the necessary processes. Noah Adamte appeared for Benjamin Dako. Says he wanted to talk to Benjamin Dako before the case. The judge said no, in the public interest. What public interest? When Chairman Wuntmi is walking free, Wuntmi who has degraded the forest, he is walking free. The man who has allegedly blocked the road, he should just go in. What public interest? What public interest
that was
is
the first time he was seen?
Yes, Benjamin Dako, part of the protesters. He wasn't allowed.
What I want to find out, those who were picked up a week ago, Saturday, yes. Those are the persons who were held beyond 48 hours, because those who were
exactly
on Sunday,
yes,
Tuesday would have been the 48 hours.
Thank you.
Have satisfied that.
Thank you.
But could the police have arranged these two, or the persons who were arrested on Saturday, before Tuesday, because Monday was a holiday?
Perfect. Yes, and that is what Sophia Kufu did. Yes, Antoine, in the Kwebu number 4 versus Attorney General number 4. And before then, let me just read the human rights provision. Then we'll go into the Kwebu number 4. It says, respect for human rights, 14. That's what I'm reading from the service instructions. And the performance of their duties, police officers shall respect and protect. Yeah, when you say protect, human rights, human dignity, and protect human dignity, maintain and uphold rights for all persons. Let's read it. It's a base disjoint. In the performance of their duties, police officers shall respect and protect human dignity, maintain and uphold rights for all persons. All persons. So this 14. And that their own service instructions. So service instruction number 2, subpart 14. Subpart 14. That is the police service instruction. So it's not just the Constitution. You yourselves, you've written, and you say that shall respect and protect. When the word, please, let's understand it. The word protect means that you take steps to help the person to enjoy those rights. The respect one, if the person already has it, don't infringe it. But the word protect, when you are protecting the right, you take positive steps to help the person. So give food, allow access to lawyers, etc. So those ones involve the police taking some actions. I'm interested in the word protect. It has a technical meaning. You take positive steps to do something for the person. Don't just say protect means, oh, you just sit. No, it's a respect that you may not necessarily do too much. But the word protect technical, when it comes into human rights, jurisprudence, you will take positive steps to give the person human rights. So food, health. You know, Oliver was sick, etc. He has also claimed he was not allowed to see a doctor. They brought a private doctor to come and see Oliver. The police made sure that the doctor stood at the headquarters there for hours before they allowed access. What is it? Even the coup plotters case, ACP Agojo's case, Justice Ekobedin gave bail. Then he granted bail. What happened? What happened? Even the ones who are said to have been interested in overthrowing Akufo-Addo, they got bail.
There was this gentleman, a brother of one of the protesters, who we spoke to, indicated that his sister was suffering from a number of conditions, and she was also denied access to the family. As of the time we were talking to him, the asthma pump that she needed had not been given to her. I want us to hear from the brother, and then also I'll come to you, Dr. Bona, on this. Let's take a look. And while we are at it, let me just remind you as well that as we go on, ACP Benjamin Agojo, retired, is going to be joining us as well. Let's take a look.
We scouted through the various police stations, and then at around 9 p.m., we found her at Kaneshi. I requested from the counter NCO to speak to my sister. What she could do best was to refer me to their station officer. And then the station officer said they were working under specific instructions from the regional command that those who were arrested in relation to the protest shouldn't be allowed any form of access by anybody, not a family member, not even a lawyer. The caller told me that my sister is not fine and so we should come and see her. I walked back to the gate. The officer in charge said no. My sister has complicated health issues. She's diabetic, she's asthmatic, and then she has glaucoma. We are not able to tell whether she's in a stable condition or not. Asthma can be triggered at any time. BP can be triggered at any time and place her in danger. We do not understand why someone who ordinarily was just filming the protest or streaming the proceedings of the protest live on his social media handle should be arrested and then detained for 3 good days.
Well, so that's a separate case from what you have been talking about, Counsel. Yes. And this is one of a number of cases of persons who had one condition or the other being denied access. There was also another incident of some persons who are passerbys. They weren't even involved in the protests. Yes. And in this case, this person said his sister was filming and then she was picked up. The people who were passing by who were also picked up as well. How should that have been treated? I mean,
look, this whole thing, because there are doubts, that's because the accused are said to be innocent. Not just said, the Constitution says in Article 19 that a person is innocent until proven guilty. That is the heart of the People number 2 verse Attorney General number 2. I'm sure we'll come to it in the next chapter, right? So once there are those doubts, admit them to bail. Look, in any serious country, we will not be charging these protesters in the first place because what they are alleged to have done, I'll call that publicity stunt. S-T-U-N-T, okay? Stunts and add S. It's something you do differently to draw the attention of duty bearers. This blocking of roads, okay? Yes, it's just a publicity stunt to draw the attention of duty bearers. So that's not a crime you are busy charging. You see, Godfrey Dame is busy interested. He is taking this case, right? Godfrey Dame, we presented a case against Chairman Wuntumi, the case of CID Dampari and Fosina and Kofi. You were asked about this case more than 7 months ago. You said you didn't know anything about it. Why didn't you take steps to go and ask the police to bring the case? After all, you know, under the law, Article 88, the police don't have power by themselves to go and prosecute offenses. No, it's the Attorney General that gives them power. So you see that the police are in court because the Attorney General gives them power. The day the Attorney General revokes all of the power, police only come to court to testify, that's the investigators, as investigators, and also to bring accused to the court, but not as prosecutors. So, Godfrey Dame, you heard about this Chairman Wuntumi case, okay, through a Joy FM interview more than 7 months ago. You've never been interested in your Ashanti Regional Chairperson facing the full rigors of the law. But this one that protesters did some publicity stunts.
You want to call that?
Yes, that's my word. And so these protesters are actually political prisoners. They are not ordinary criminals. They are not criminals. They are just political prisoners. They did it because, you see, from 2018, Akufo-Addo has been sloganeering, I'm prepared to put my presidency on the line. I'm prepared to put my presidency on the line. Waxing lyrical. I'm prepared to put my presidency on the line and not doing much. Just attention grabbing headlines all over, right? So, and then other things, Operation Galam Stop, Operation this, and all haven't been sustained, right? As for excesses, there will be excesses. So the time Galam Stop and the rest had their issues, you had to deal with that and continue. Then you withdrew them. So what these young people are doing is that let's do something differently. Well, all over the world, activists do that.
The concern there is that in doing something differently, it also got to the point where it infringed on the law, and that's why the police took this action, as in instances where the protesters, and as you indicated, there were excesses. And I'm not admitting the case is in court. So in this, when you come into jurisprudence, there is what? Positive defiance. You think it's every time that the law will be obeyed. Even the Constitution says when you see somebody doing a coup d'etat, you to take arms. If you can counter the coup d'etat, it's not an offense. Check Article 3. So these are political prisoners. They've not committed any offense. It's a way of registering the public uproar, the public disguise. It's not just public uproar. The existential threat, that's the word. We are all faced with an existential threat. Ghana Water says what? Now when they process water, they get only 40% of the water. Out of 100%, only 40 is good. Then they spend 4 times more. Is that not so? Their own statistics. Turbidity is gone through the roof. So that is the narrative. And yet won't me is walking free. So they just did this stunts to draw attention. These are not criminals. This is just publicity stunts. Public concern, as in...
Yeah, the public will always be concerned, because don't forget, we have different levels of knowledge. Levels of knowledge. So some people who don't know the full law, as soon as they see a small breach, yes.
So these are the charges: conspiracy to commit crime, namely unlawful assembly, and unlawful assembly causing unlawful damage, offense conduct conducive to breach of peace, assault on public officer, and they have, in fact, all these instances captured. Yes. And then some of the instances, and they were stealing.
Yes, exactly.
And stealing. You see, and in all of these instances, they make reference to the conduct of the demonstrators within that 3-day period that they were on the streets. Yes. And some of the instances they were engaged in blocking the roads by themselves. Yeah. And then also, at some point, pushing the police, the barricades, and so on. Does that raise concern for you?
Oh, naturally, it will raise concern. Good. So if you say concern, that will admit, yes, there is concern, because naturally, we are a very conservative society. So it raises concern. But the fact that we've ratcheted it up to say these are criminal offenses, that is where the problem is. But as for concern, yes, because our society is largely conservative. We are calm, we pride in ourselves, peace-loving. But when you continue to be peace-loving, you allow crooks to cause mayhem. That's the thing. So viewers, as you listen, the politicians are not gentlemen, though. That's a mistake people make. Look, you think because the politician comes to church with you, because he's in a football club with you, because they are not gentlemen. Don't make a mistake. Politicians are usually crooks. So when you are dealing with crooks and you come and sit here, you analyze gently, softly, they won't listen. That's why the young men did what they did. When you read activism and the rest, you have to do it differently. And yes, sir, you will hear in Tree, they commonly say, oh, ehurua ebejo. That's why the politicians know. They say, oh, ehurua ebejo. Then they say, we have short memories. Oh, give it 2 weeks, it will pass. Please, these are the things. That's the way a politician thinks. So the young men have to do something different. These are stunts. These are not offensive. Then 2 statements you asked about the 48 hours. Just brief on it.
I want us to conclude.
So in 2019, as we stated earlier, December 2019, the Supreme Court held in Pebu number 4, versus Attorney General number 4, that when a person is arrested, that person must be brought before a court of law within 48 hours. Whether within that 48 hours, we had weekend, Saturday, Sunday, or public holiday, or even strike, even if within that period the judicial service is on strike and they lock the courts, the law is that provision will be made, because the court is locked, provision will be made for the accused to be brought to the house of a judge. Of course, in our past, in the 80s, Rawlings regime, they killed judges. That's bad, okay? We'll leave that for another time. But, you know, we have to continue trying. We can't say because some judges were killed in the past, we'll not allow an accused person near the house of a judge. Of course, it doesn't necessarily mean his house. They can find another facility. So it will not necessarily be the home of a judge, maybe a different public space, somewhere. So that is a Supreme Court decision. And please, very, very important in it. Let's note this. When we say within, please, the first thing is that within 48 hours, you should be in the court before the 48-hour expires. Be in the courtroom before 48 hours expire. It doesn't mean that, so it's wrong to think that it's 48 hours, then you start preparing to go. No, that's one. And then two, just last point. The Supreme Court said, if it's clear to you from day one, as soon as even before the arrest, if you think the case is too complex, so you cannot finish within the 48 hours, just at the time of arrest, then you start preparing to take him to court. At the time of arrest, because if from day one, certain offenses may be complex. So let's say a coup d'etat. A coup d'etat, if only, of course, it's not a kitchen coup, but a proper coup d'etat, you can't finish investigations within 48 hours. So as soon as you arrest, whilst people are doing investigations, a different police officer will be working on the court papers. That's why we have so many. Look, the police have a lot of men. You see, we are using so many of them for police visibility. So the CID should be doing his work. You can take some from the police visibility and train them how to prepare court papers. So that while the CID is taking statements, doing other things, then the other one is helping to type. Don't let the same CID. In practice, the investigator is the one who will finish interrogation, then go and type, and then, no, share the work. So let me leave it. So please, that's Pebu number 4. Please, whether Saturday, Sunday, or public holiday, the court will be open within 48 hours for you. And I've attended courts within that period. Constitution Day 2022. The case that happened around this Nalerugu, there's a Deboko. This is one of the cases. They were brought to Accra. I was in court with the Attorney General on 7th January 2022, right? And then the there've been other cases.
I see. So I just wanted to establish that there's a provision in our law that indeed the police could have gone to court and have these persons arraigned on a public holiday. That was Monday, instead of having them in custody beyond the 48 hours and arraign them before court on Tuesday. So that's established. But I need to say this, that the reason why I spent quite some time with Martin Pebu is that this case and the law bothering on this case, he has tested and won cases and has contributed significantly to the legal jurisprudence that we have in this country with respect to arrest and bail. And then that's why you keep hearing him refer to Pebu number 1, 2, 3, 4. These are cases that he won, and that improved on our legal system and justice delivery in this country. Dr. Bona, the police had a duty on that day, executed it. The protesters also carried out their concerns. Issues happened. Now we are seeing how things have played out over the last few days. Could this have been done differently?
Well, good morning, Alfred, and good morning to my brother, Mampam.
And we did the petition to Parliament against Yoko.
Yes, it's still hanging.
Yes, indeed. Exactly.
And then my slave here, Dominic Ayene, and then your viewers and our viewers. I'm sure my brother Dominic is going to say, I expect him to say not every politician is a crook. And majority are not crooks.
I'm sure Mr. Kwibu knows that.
Yes, there are a lot of you know, decent politicians who will not do some of the things probably we have seen and continue to see. And so I know Martin Kwibu, when the spirit descends, sometimes he doesn't forgive anybody. But to go into the substance of the matter, I would say, without, mincing words, that the police have improved when it comes to these things. And I think when Martin came, when he arrived, I had a conversation where, unfortunately, it looks like he was with us in 1999 at the castle.
Yes.
When we demonstrated, Snook's demonstration. I was a student leader by then. Kofi Boachi used to be the director of operations, or he used to be ASP. We were beaten. In fact, chased into our homes. Yes. Students were arrested, put in their, blue mohawks. Yeah. And whilst students were kept in the blue mohawks, they would put a tear gas canister in the mohawk. And I mean, Baba Jamal, there were, several, we were student leaders and were fighting the then Rawlings regime. So I will tell you that anybody who has been party to violent demonstrations and been beaten, you are very careful when demonstrations are called, and you ask yourself, should I be there? Should I not be there? And so mine is that over the years, there's been significant improvements. Were we not in this country when law students who were protesting over how they've been marked down and how things have not been done well, demonstrated, and they were pepper sprayed, they were beaten and chased, and some were arrested? We're in this country. And so I say that when you see an improvement take place, it is important to acknowledge the improvement whilst also talking about the duty not to be excessive. When you look at what happened on the day, the first day, I watched it. Several officers on the ground called me for some reason. They were complaining that some of them have been pushed, some of them have either been slapped, and I said, well, for me, as you are, I mean, I don't work, I'm not a police. They thought that we are some of the people who Alfred and Co would call to discuss these things. But what the police in the past have been known to do was to say charge. There used to be a certain commander who was referred to as charge. To that extent. So you dare go out and you say charge. And when they were coming, you know what they did? The police in the past, they would bring recruits from the very, they usually have recruits who are undergoing training. And because of the rigorous nature of the training, when they unleash them, they have no mercy. They have no name badge. They have their helmet covering their face. And after they've finished beating all of you, they pack them back into the police, their blue buses, and they take them back to, what do you call that, their training facilities. And most of them in the past took pride in how many people they were able to beat. They say, oh, I beat one of them and he couldn't walk. And some of us used to ask, why would you beat another human being and you celebrate? So, Alfred, answering your question, what I would say that the police had a duty on the day to ensure that law and order. And I still ask questions. If probably I had known that they wouldn't arrest anybody on the first day, maybe I would have joined the first day protests. Because
that was last week Saturday.
Yes, because then we saw some of them literally take the laws into their own hands and do things. And I'm happy Martin Pebu is here. You've mentioned Pebu number 1 and number 2. I mean, when you look at that ruling, I mean, I have read it several times. I mean, it said remand should not be used as a punishment. One of the things that were cited in it was remand should not be used as a form of punishment. And I think Martin spoke about we have improved after Pebu number 2. Because when you go to the UK, US, Germany, they still have their anti-terrorism laws that forbids the courts from granting people who have been arrested with allegation of, what do you call it, terrorism and things of that nature. But ours is clear that every offense, depending on the discretion of the judge, you can be granted bail the same day. And I think that in our statutes, it's also there that I'm sure if the Chief Justice is listening to us, we should
but
have...
we'll come to that because the AG and other lawyers also make the case that bail is not absolute or automatic.
It's a discretionary matter. It's discretionary. So depending on... And we can't take that... I mean, as for the Constitution is clear with, you know, how judges should operate. The Constitution is very clear. And so what I am trying to say...
So these are the instances you are referring to that they blocked the road and playing football?
Exactly. So look at it. So when you block the roads this way, you stop everyone from moving. Those who are sick and those who are not sick. And you burn refuse or whatever in the middle of the road. And this is a major referral hospital. And I am happy when Oliver Bakavomawo took ill, when he was ill. Went on his way, when they were taking him in the ambulance to the police hospital. No one has blocked the road. So mine is that there would have been excesses. But the police had a duty. Let's not, I mean, I would want us to separate the matters. That I'm saying is something that all of us are against. I am part of the media coalition against, what do you call it, illegal mining in this country. But that notwithstanding, if you are demonstrating, you don't take the laws into your own hands and do some of the things we have seen. And so mine is that if this was to happen in other countries, probably that day, within hours, they would have cleared all of them. Some would have been beaten. But fortunately, they were not probably, yes, we've, I mean, monitored how probably there are some excesses. Yes, so you can see, I mean...
but could this have been handled differently in the sense that, I mean, yes, there were instances of, as Martin Kwebu put it, the stance.
What would be the... What would be... Can you define what you mean by differently? Situate it in a proper context. Because differently means that in the past, I gave you examples of Mobara struggle. I gave you examples of, you know, other... Martin Kwebu, I think something you did demonstration recently. Yes. I don't think people were beaten. Were people beaten?
No.
Nobody was beaten.
Saibu Garba, he did well.
No, I'm coming. People were not beaten probably because of the people who led. You see, those who lead demonstrations sometimes, and I always say it, you could lead a demonstration and others will come in and mess up the whole thing. NDC went on a demonstration prior to this issue we are discussing. About 1 million Ghanaians flooded the streets of this country, 16 regions, apart from an isolated incident in Ashanti region. We didn't see the kind of disturbance we saw. So I always say that, you see, if you want these two sets of, if you want trouble in this country, involve NDC or involve MPP. If you want to test whether you are strong, involve them, because they would have the capacity to run you over. But you can see that Chairman Essie Nunketia, my brother here, Dominic Ayeni, and the rest, ensured that the demonstrators were very civil. Because I am looking for a day where a demonstration is called, and people, maybe the next demonstration for this EC thing will come there. Maybe some of us will join, because then I'm pretty sure that is going to be very civil. Somebody will not come and mess up and I'll be beaten like we were beaten in the 1999, 88, 89. But with this, and in fact, they had my support from, I mean, I kept saying that they have our support. But to go on the street and block the roads and burn tire and burn refuse and stop military, I had military officers on that day. In fact, call me, because you know that area is also a military, zone. Military people in their vehicle that were moving, can you imagine they were stopped and asked to use another route?
They were stopped by who?
They were stopped by the protesters won't let them go. So the police approached them and asked them to leave, and they turned around. So what I'm trying to say is that, you see, there would have been some excesses, but let's be able to situate these things in the right context, or else we would end up, lumping everything together and just dwelling so much on the excesses, leaving out some of the things we saw. Many years ago, about a decade ago, there was a violent looting in the UK. Recently, there was a race riot in the UK. I don't know whether some of you monitored it.
Yes.
Up to today, the police is still arresting people and imprisoning them and prosecuting them. Because you see, I want to live in a country where, in a situation like this, they film you doing some of these things. If they can locate you, the next day you are home, they come to you and you are arrested with the evidence. You are taken to court, and then the court then decide whether your freedom should be curtailed or you should be allowed to go. And like I said, I don't actually agree to, people going on remand as a form of punishment. No, as for that, I don't agree. As for that, I clearly don't agree. But it's at the discretion per the law of the judge. And so I think that I've heard their lawyers have gone to court for abridgment of the time to ensure that they are able to. But, Alfred, I would want Dominic here. He was once upon a time the deputy, the number 2 lawyer in Ghana. You see, the AG is the number 1. The number 2 is usually his deputy. He was the number 2. There is nowhere I can say that one day he might not be the number 1. If tomorrow he becomes the number 1, I would want to still look at him in the face and say that I think, Dominic, Honorable Ayeni, these protesters, the way they did their thing, I think you are right for taking them to court. I think you are right for taking, but if I'm not able to say that today, to probably, if I cannot agree with, what's his name, our AG, if I cannot agree with AG and say, oh, just let them go, I should be able to agree with the AG in a way and say, well, it's good you presented them to court for the court to decide. So that, you see, let's test the law. I'm happy some of the arguments my brother Martin is bringing. You see, our legal jurisprudence is still growing. And persons like Martin, Dominic, Honorable Ayeni, and the rest, and everybody, we are all pushing. Martin has directed maybe lawyers and law students to go and get the police service, their own, regulations and all that. Look at it, read it. I think that from here, I like the debate that is ongoing at the moment, because then I'm sure if there is another opportunity, the police should be able to do it different. Because of the conversations that is coming up. But let's not lose sight of what actually, took us here. First of all, it is Galamsey. You mentioned, what is his name? Wontumi.
Yes, Akunta mining.
I still ask myself questions why the president said Wontumi.
It's not engaged.
It's not engaged in Galamsey. And we all know that the AG prosecutions are done for and behalf of the Attorney General. So mine is that what is his name? This man, would Dami allow the police to prosecute, what is his name? Wontumi? No, to investigate him. Exactly. So mine is that let's separate the issues. But if we don't separate it very well, we would actually use a sledgehammer in trying to kill a fly. I don't want to be tempted to say a butterfly, a fly. So I would want a situation where the demonstrators, already some of them have had all of them have had their day in court. The court has decided. Their lawyers know what to do. That is why they were trained. The advocate, they should go to court. Some of them are already asking for abridgment of time. But mine is that I think the conduct of Oliver himself leaves much to be desired.
Why?
Because you see, if I am leading a demonstration, I'll never run away from the demonstration ground.
Did he run away?
At a point, he mounted an Okada and left the scene. At a point when you see, we've all been leaders in one way or the other, and have led demonstrations. You led Kumipreku. Did you at any point leave the scene? No. So the moment you leave the scene, everybody is in disarray. Everybody does what he wants. So he left the scene. Eventually, I think the police looked for him. So what I'm trying to say is that he went into the police truck, Alfred, and took the key. People have said that, why did they leave the key in? If you know the way, what do you call it, tow trucks initiates towing a vehicle. Tow trucks and the mechanism that tow a vehicle and the tow truck's engine don't work differently. You need the engine to be on in a way for you to initiate a, what do you call it, a tow. But even if that is not the case, was it necessary to go in there as yourself as a leader? Well, I don't want to say some of the things when you are leading a demonstration, because you sit with your people and you plan, okay, you this. So you, the leader, you are able to direct what is. But for him himself to go, remove a key, throw the key away, and begin to run. I ask myself that, I mean, these things are things that unconscionable. It shouldn't happen, but he did them. And so I want to hear my brother Martin Pebu and probably Dr. Ayene, you know, Honorable, he's yet to have his turn, would speak to these things. I want to hear, let's have a balanced conversation so that, you see, in learning, some of us should be bold enough to join demonstrations, because if this is how demonstrations are going to be done, I will not join. But maybe I am, you know, I will be comforted by the fact that now the police is moving away from beating people. Well, police will be moving away from beating people because what is going on, others have, yes.
Does that justify the act now, even though they have moved away from beating people?
Well, we don't know whether that is going to be the status quo. I don't know. I'm only saying it. I don't know, but you go on. Yes.
No. I mean, you're making reference to exactly what happened now. And I'm saying that even if there's been that improvement in that regard, where in previous instances we had demonstrators beaten.
Yes.
Does that mean
beaten properly?
does that mean that it justifies the high-handedness that we have also seen in this instance, because there's been an improvement in previous cases?
I think we are told 2 of them were kept beyond the 48-hour rule.
That's according to the police.
And the rule is that you must submit them to a competent court of jurisdiction within. And in other places, I hope our jurisprudence will improve. In other places, you can actually go to a judge's home to get a warrant to arrest somebody. In most instances, we don't have it here, so they would appear to you, they would appear at your doorstep and arrest you without a warrant, and you can't question them. I think these are things that over a period, I'm sure we should learn about it. When you say heavy-handedness, is it before the arrest or after the arrest? I would say before the arrest, I really haven't seen people getting beaten. Or you saw that?
Some of the protesters say
malhandle could mean anything. But I personally haven't seen...
What you've been speaking to...
Yes, I haven't carried one line, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay. I haven't seen... I'm only speaking to what I've seen.
To him because he was on the ground with some of them. But they indicate that they were beaten.
Okay, I haven't seen that aspect of people being beaten. But in the past, you will see in the clear view of everybody, 6, 7 police officers on one person who is armless, beating the person. I didn't see that. And so what I can say is that I'm sure there would have been some excesses. The excesses, I would say, should be looked at. But let's separate the excesses from the conduct of the demonstrators. Because if you are not very careful, then chances are that you push state institutions into defensive mode, even though they are supposed to be professionals. Because I have seen previous videos of public officials who then were in government, who thought that the actions of the police were right. You get it? If it was wrong yesterday, then we should be able to say it is wrong today. If it was right yesterday, we should be able to again say it is right today. But when it comes to these things and we are not very careful and our position continue to shift, then there's a problem. I would want a situation where if you are citing me, let's say next year, there's another demonstration, or EC is still reluctant. EC doesn't, there's a demonstration, and we don't want anything to happen. Something happens. You would want me to come in and say, oh, this time around, you know, what happened probably shouldn't have happened. And so mine is that, Alfred, I think that the conduct of some of the, you had some of the demonstrators saying that now Ghana for you know, those who speak Twi, for Ghana for Emwa na Ebiwa na heading. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So if you go into a demonstration and you are blocking a major referral hospital, and you refer to, you know, you are speaking to a camera, and then you say, oh, Nagana for Mwawe Nebiwu Anayeding. You expect me to support you with that, Alfred? I could have been sick. And the police will say, I can't go through, because it is not everybody who is carried in an ambulance. I'm sure you know. How many people are sick in this country? Taxis and trotros ambulances in this country. So it means that if you were sick from Shiashi, and the road has been blocked from Shiashi, and you can't go, you have to go to Rich, or you have to go to 37, and you are not in an ambulance because we have fewer ambulances, you will die. So mine is that let's situate this in the right context, and so that we are able to say the excesses shouldn't, if they are excesses, they shouldn't have happened. But the conduct of, he used the word publicity stunt. I'm not sure whether a stunt is something that you do not to infringe on people's rights. The moment you infringe on my rights, because you see when they were burning the flags and whatever, I think I hear they burned some of the NDC. I didn't see that. I only saw that of the MPP. And I have said it repeatedly. If you want trouble in this country, try MPP or try NDC. So you saw Mustafa there, what is his name? The youth something for MPP. Mustafa, I don't know his the other name. You saw him and the young people moving towards the demonstration ground to go and probably take, some actions against these people. I'm told the police stopped them and asked them to go. So the next day, I think the police issued a statement and said, okay, so this is what you can see him running. If you are a leader of a demonstration, you stay put, you don't run, because the moment you run, there'll be chaos. And that's what exactly happened. So for me, once the police said, we will not allow you to do A, B, C, D the next day, I think that they should have been a bit more civil. But unfortunately, it happened again. So Alfred, I would end by saying that we need to be balanced in this whole conversation, or else there will be Kumipreku reloaded, and people will be too afraid to come, because some hoodlums will come and start throwing stones, and innocent people, because you see the haircut thing, the government haircut thing, that. You see, they've been picketing. Have you ever heard the police taking it on them?
Okay.
Even though these people are they are pensioners, because they do it peacefully. But when people take the laws into their own hands, I tell you that, Alfred, yes, the excesses should be investigated, but let's separate it. So for me, I would say that the conduct of the police in this whole thing, if they are going to continue this way, then I believe that those leaders of demonstrations, like the NDC did recently, about 1 million people, if you are going about 1.6, let's say 100,000 people from each region, that would give it 1.6. And we saw just a fraction, some small thing. And then you had a good, some Ghanaians coming together to demonstrate against the destruction of our water bodies, which we all support, that it shouldn't happen. And then we take the laws into our own hands. So for me, Alfred, this is what I would want to say.
Well, and Dr. Dominic, at this point, I've been taught all of us law in many ways.
There's a law teacher here.
Yes. But then again, you see, I would rather we are objective than being balanced.
Yes.
I think there are two different things. Objectivity, meaning that when we see that a wrong is committed, it has to be identified and condemned.
Yeah.
And not, referenced as a point of justification. Here's what I mean. To the extent that there were some excesses as seen on the day, and some of the demonstrators did one thing or the other, does that also relegate the impact and violation of the rights of these protesters as we saw it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Alfred, thank you very much. I've been listening very keenly to my son-in-law, Martin Pebu, and then my slave. He actually said I was a slave, but if you go into the history, he's my slave. That's my son-in-law. I'll give you the details later.
Thank you very much. That's okay.
But I think Martin has done justice to the topic in so many ways, you know, because as you rightly pointed out, he has been one person who has taken a keen interest in the development of the law in this area. And, you know, having done all the litigation in Kwebu number 1 to number 4, he's done a lot of justice, you know, to the issues arising out of and in connection with the treatment of the demonstrators. But Alfred, we need to put this whole thing in context. And I think that Martin touched briefly on that. Because the reason why the demonstrators, ordinary citizens of this country, are on the streets is because we are faced with an existential threat. That is the issue of Galamsey, the issue of mining. And I say mining because, you see, there is an attempt to always say that it is illegal mining that is causing the problem in this country. But Alfred, it is not illegal, only illegal mining. It is also legal mining. Legal mining in the sense that the regulatory institutions, whether you are dealing with the Minerals Commission, the Environmental Protection Agency, or the Forestry Commission, issue permits and licenses to persons who are conducting mining in a non-sustainable manner. And that is what is causing, you know, or let me say, that is the existential threat that we are faced with. I read somewhere, I don't know how accurate this is, and I'm sure with a little bit of inquiry, I may be able to confirm it. But I read somewhere that since 1995, up to the point of, I think, 2017, the Minerals Commission had issued, I don't know how true this is, but about 57 mining permits. And that currently we are headed close to 2,000.
Yes, it's actually over 1,000.
You know, 1,600 and something. All right. Now, you have a situation where the president himself said he was putting his presidency on the line in order to ensure that the Galamsey fight was won. Okay? He said this in 2018. He has disappointed the people of this country because though he made that promise, he has not fulfilled it. Galamsey has become such a menace, okay, that we are now faced with a situation where even in certain riverine communities, Alfred, you know, the ecological disaster that has been caused is such that, I mean, they are faced with a genocide, okay? Doctors, you know, from the Ghana Medical Association have come out with some evidence of the deformities, the birth defects that are occurring as a result of people living in and consuming, you know, maybe water and then breathing in the air that has been polluted by the chemicals being used for Galamsey.
Right.
All right. These riverine communities cannot even find clean water. Some of them have to buy sachet water in order to drink. So there is a legitimate concern that the citizens have. And when citizens have a legitimate concern, what do? They have to express it, either by, you know, talking to the media, if their voices can be amplified by the media, like we are doing now, all right, or either mainstream or social media, right, or if they are not being listened to by those in power, they have to take to the streets to express their grievances. And that is why, in the wisdom of the drafters of the Constitution, the right to demonstrate was guaranteed under Article 21D of the Constitution. All right. Now, when I was in law school, there was an article that I used to read over and over again. And it was an article written by one of my best lecturers, Professor E.V. Odankwa. And the article was titled Progress and Regress in Simansil. Is it, am I right? The pronouncement of, is it Simansil? The oral non-cupative customary will, right? Samansil. Okay, my tree is not too good, right? But I feel like writing an article on progress and regress in the constitutional protection of human rights. Why do I say so? Alfred, when the Constitution became, came into force in 1993, right from the inception, there were a number of, a series of cases being litigated before the Supreme Court. And most of the landmark cases at the inception of the Fourth Republic were brought by the MPP. So you have MPP and Attorney General number 1, MPP and Attorney General number 2. You have MPP and IGP. Yes. And that is where I'm coming to. MPP and IGP. Yeah. All right. That was a case in which the MPP, took the IGP to court on the basis that the public order decree in existence at the time, was unconstitutional because it required a permit for any person or group of persons who wanted to demonstrate, to acquire that permit before they could demonstrate. So the MPP went to court, and they basically argued that this was a prior restraint on the right to freedom of assembly and the freedom to demonstrate. And the court agreed with them in that case. Alfred, in coming here, I brought with me the law report, just in case. I noticed that when I watch your program, I noticed that my son-in-law is always quoting from law books. So I thought that this is the tradition of the program, and I must also, instead of just referring to it, I must quote. But let me quote this dicta, as we say in law, of from Benjamin JSC, who was a member of the panel. And this is what he said. He said, the object of the consent or permit requirement within the intendments of sections 7 and 8 of NRCD 68, that is the public order decree, is to give leave for the performance of an act which without such consent or permit is forbidden by law. The necessary implication, therefore, is that under NRCD 68, meetings, processions, and demonstrations are prohibited by law unless sanctioned by the police or other such authority. Right. This proposition clearly violates the enshrined provisions of Article 21D of the Constitution 1992, as it constitutes a serious abridgment of the human rights of the citizen. Where any law or action is in conflict with the letter and spirit of the Constitution 1992, which is the fundamental law of the land, then to the extent of such conflict or inconsistency, that law is unconstitutional, void, and unenforceable. All right? Now, this position led or resulted in the enactment of the Public Order Act, Act 491, which basically required that the police be informed,
and not be giving permission,
not to grant you permission to demonstrate,
which is not.
All right, because to ask that a permission be granted would have been taking us back to the public order decree. Okay, so they are supposed to be informed, and if they have any reasonable grounds to believe that the route chosen for a special event or a demonstration, all right, may lead to violations of public safety, public disorder, and so on and so forth, okay? They have to now inform the organizers of the demonstration, all right, and then suggest ways by which the demonstration can still take place. Because this is, a fundamental right. The demonstration should still take place, okay, subject to the agreed routes between the police and the demonstrators. Right. All right. So Act 491, right, is permissive in nature and not prohibitive. Now, what is happening in this country is that the judiciary, and I'm so sad to say this, the judiciary that we had in 1993 that decided MPP and IGP, basically were pushing the envelope when it comes to the jurisprudence on the protection of fundamental human rights. Okay? The judiciary that Martin Pebu referred to in terms of, the Pebu number 1 to number 4, also sought to push the envelope with respect to the jurisprudence when it comes to the protection of the liberty of the citizen. All right? Somehow or another, and as he pointed out, I haven't read the number 4, because I think it was in number 4 that they decried,
December 29.
okay, they decried the abuse, the judicial abuse of the rights of the citizen. Okay? And that is what is happening now. Okay? The judicial, I mean, for instance, most of the time when the police, you know, want to frustrate a demonstration, all they need to do is go to court for an ex parte injunction. So the ex parte injunction has actually taken, you know, I mean, taking the place of the permit under the public order decree.
And normally it's just a day or two before the
demonstration. And I think that is a practice that should never be tolerated. Because you see, when the demonstrators, you know, give you notice, you know who they are. All right? And usually, I mean, the notice is by letter, you know, with an address and so on and so forth. All right? If you think that a demonstration is such that it will, you know, I mean, violate public order and public safety, all right, or result, I mean, in, you know, I mean, the curtailment of the rights of other, I mean, members of the society, okay, then you can go to court. But I think that it should be by notice.
And not by ex parte.
And not ex parte, all right? And usually, yes, I mean, ex parte means that they go to court without notice to those who intend to demonstrate, all right? Now, I have seen some of the ex parte applications, okay? And, you know, Alfred, it's so sad that sometimes the affidavit, the depositions do not even tell you anything about why, okay, the application should even be granted.
It doesn't tell you.
No, they just depose to the fact that, you know, you have requested to demonstrate, and they think that in their view, you know, the route is not, you know, I mean, conducive and so on and so forth. All right, but you need to depose to evidence. To evidence.
Beyond reasonable doubt.
I'm not beyond reasonable doubt as such, because this is like, you know, I mean, it's a civil application, you know, but on the balance of probabilities, that you should have to make the court believe that this demonstration will actually, you know, I mean, violate, you know, public safety. It will contravene the rights of others and so on and so forth.
And on that note, that's what I want to find out. Since when did the presence of the Jubilee House become a security zone? I mean, as in where people can demonstrate.
Well, I do not know whether it has been declared as a security zone.
It's not.
Right?
If it was, then we won't drive past there.
So then
there's a reason why they have to go to court.
And because that's the Revolution Square is just within the precinct, and the police say that area is a security zone, and that's why I want to find out if there's any law, any provision, statute whatsoever that describes that place as a security zone.
I can't say off the top of my head, you know, but I believe that there are certain locations, you know, that, you know, are considered as security zones.
They review them.
All right, and they review them all the time. It's usually by executive instrument. All right, so it's possible that, for instance, you know, the BNI headquarters, for instance, was considered, I mean, is considered a security zone and so on. You know, but the point I'm making is that we have moved to a situation where, all right, the police, in conjunction with the judiciary, is actually undermining the protection of the fundamental rights of the citizen. I have taken a look at some of the clips that you've played. There is no gainsaying that the blocking of vehicular traffic, okay, is something that is condemnable. All right. There's no gainsaying that the attempt, okay, you know, to engage in fisticuffs with the police is something that is something that we should condemn. All right. And as my brother, I mean, Dr. Adam Bonner said, there have been demonstrations that have been organized in this country, and Martin Pebu has organized some. that we have not seen the kinds of things that we saw. All right? But having said that, I do not think that in and of themselves, the activities that they engage in are sufficient basis for you to say that they should be detained, you know, for 2 weeks, all right, without bail. All right, and that I think is where my concern is. All right, the denial of bail in this instance is being seen, you know, I mean, is tantamount to punishing them, okay, for the conduct that they engage in. Because if you are denying bail, you must show, for instance, that they are a flight risk. All right, but we are told their lawyers made evidence available showing that, you know, they have fixed place of abode, you know, they have, you know, jobs, some of them are professionals, and so on and so forth, all right? But the court still went ahead and then, you know, I mean, a rule ordered that they should be put in police custody. I think that in itself is tantamount to judicial abuse of the rights, you know, of the citizen.
The argument is that they said they couldn't identify some of the exact place of abode, their specific names, well, and so on.
No, Alfred, in coming here, I spoke to some of the lawyers, you know, involved in the defense, you know, of the demonstrators, and I mean, I can believe them. You know, I've worked with some of them professionally. And I can believe what they are telling me, that they provided sufficient, you know, evidence to show that their clients are not, I mean, a flight risk, to show that they were gainfully employed, and so on and so forth. And as Martin, I mean, pointed out, okay, when you have a situation where even someone accused of a coup, you know, of coup making, has been granted bail, and the person was in this country to stand trial, okay, a mere demonstration on the street in exercise of the fundamental right, you know, to demonstrate, should not be the basis for you to say that the person should not be granted bail. All right, that's my first point. Secondly, I think that the police, okay, engage in certain excesses, certain violations that I think Martin has already enumerated. All right, for instance, denial of the right to counsel. This is a key fundamental right, because ordinary citizens, okay, I mean, let's face it. How many citizens know what the law says about unlawful assembly, or what constitutes unlawful assembly? All right. How many of them are able to read and understand the charges that are being preferred against them? So they need the assistance of legal professionals, you know, to be able to understand their rights. All right. And even at the point of arrest, their right to counsel has to be told them, okay, ex ante. So, I mean, we call it in law the Miranda, you know, I mean, a rule. That, you know, you have a right to counsel, and you have a right to remain silent, okay, and anything you say in court may be used against you. All right. So the question is whether they were even told, they were even informed of their right, okay, to remain silent, their right to counsel, the fact that, you know, I mean, within 48 hours, they will be appearing before a judge. And in that case, they need lawyers to advise them or to represent them as required under Article 19 of the Constitution. In fact,
according to some of the lawyers, they go to some of the police stations and they are told that, look, there's nobody here.
Yeah.
And others, they say order from above, so they shouldn't be told.
So I have a list of those who still cannot be located. So when doc is done, let me read out.
So that is one. Also, when you have a situation where they are being denied, you know, access to their families, okay, they are also being denied, you know, food, and then, I mean, water, and so on and so forth, okay, that is endangering their health and also an affront to their human dignity. Because as, you know, human beings, they need, you know, water, they need food for energy, okay, a survivor, okay, depends on their access to these basic needs. Okay, so for you to, deny them access to these things, I think the police, are you know, acting in abuse of their rights, and then in a very, excessive manner, right? And for me, the role of the Attorney General is key in this matter, right? I think Dr. Adam, made reference to that, and I mean also Martin Pebu, right? The Attorney General has vested in him, okay, the power to prosecute under Article 88 of the Constitution.
True.
All right, because he has the power to prosecute. The police report to the Attorney General. In fact, the police cannot go to court except under the fiat of the Attorney General. All right. Now, if the police bring a group of persons and charge them, and the charges are trumped-up charges, it behoves on the Attorney General, all right, to tell them that these are not charges that should be laid.
Well, but what's interesting in this instance is that this case is actually being directly prosecuted from the Attorney General's office.
But that is where I have a problem, because I think one of your news items, or was it CTFM, I listened to a representative of the Attorney General, all right, and I was severely disappointed. Now, Alfred, I'm not one who usually comments on the work of the Attorney General's office, because as a former officer of that office, I have office holder of that office, I've always been reluctant to second-guess the decisions of the Attorney General, all right? But on this occasion, I must say that I'm severely disappointed.
Why?
Yeah, because I happen to have been in charge of reviewing dockets.
Okay.
All right? Yes, my boss, the Honorable Maretta Brew, gave me, that power, and I reported to her. So all the dockets from the police came to me. And anytime I reviewed the docket and realized that the docket did not, contain sufficient basis for us to lay charges, I'll write back to the police and tell them that this cannot go to court. All right? I will discuss with the DPP, and in fact, sometimes the DPP will even alert me to the fact that this cannot go to court. So, for instance, if you say you are charging them with unlawful assembly, what is unlawful about their assembly? When you are assembling, all right, or you gather to demonstrate pursuant to a legitimate public cause, right, and in pursuant of your, fundamental right to demonstrate under Article 21D of the Constitution, what is unlawful about that? What turned that demonstration, okay, which was actually notified to the police, and in respect of which the police gave them a route. Let's even say that they decided not to, follow the route that was, given to them by the police. Okay, is that why the demonstration, just all of a sudden, all right, excuse me to use the big word, transmogrified into an unlawful assembly? That cannot be the case. All right, when you assemble, all right, when two or more persons under Act 29, all right, they assemble with a purpose, okay, of doing something illegal. That is where the assembly becomes an unlawful assembly. But when you assemble to demonstrate pursuant to a constitutional right, you cannot be charged for unlawful assembly. All right. So I'm just giving you an example, of a charge that should never have been laid in the first place. And I thought that the Attorney General should have, cautioned the police against laying such charges. The other thing is that, you see, there has been a tradition in this country of the Attorney General feeling that he or she is an integral part of the cabinet and of the government and must defend every, a decision of the government tooth and nail. All right? As Attorney General, okay, you are literally, all right, in terms of the law and the justice of the country, you are the conscience, okay, of the state.
And not just the lawyer.
You are the state's lawyer. You are the state's, you are the justice minister. And so you have to hold the scale, all right, delicately balanced between the citizen and the state. And the citizen is the weaker party. So, for instance, where there are police excesses, it behoves on the Attorney General to alert the police to their violations of the fundamental rights of the citizen. In fact, under ordinary circumstances, the Attorney General should actually be issuing a writ against the IGP.
Yes.
All right. On behalf, yes, for this, I mean, for the protection of the rights of the citizen.
Yeah.
Okay. Somehow or another, we have not cultivated that habit because of the deeply partisan nature of our politics. You know, any Attorney General who, for instance, sues the police, you know, for violating rights of demonstrators who are demonstrating against his government, all right, will be in serious trouble. The party base will come after. But you, as a professional, okay, if you know your remit as an Attorney General, you should be in a position to take action. In fact, Martin was saying something earlier on, and I was laughing about it because I've thought seriously, you know, about it. On this Galamsey menace, okay, why is the Attorney General silent about it?
AG must have should have
because
spoken about
illegal
it
conduct. No, he should not have spoken about it. He should have taken action.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, of course, I'm sure after this program or even during the program, people are going to send in messages saying that Galamsey existed during our time and we didn't take any action. But that is not a reason why, because a finger was not raised in the past, doesn't mean that a finger cannot be raised now. Because as we all know, this is an existential threat, all right, to the survival of our country. And because we have politically exposed persons such as the regional chair of the New Patriotic Party, all right, and then also my very good friend and colleague in Parliament, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, was revealing on, Good Morning Ghana, the fact that, you know, companies related to the president's daughters have been given mining leases and they are engaged in mining. All right. I go back to the point that I was making earlier about regulatory failure. Okay. Because if the Minerals Commission has issued, mining licenses or mining, you know, leases to the president's daughters or companies, affiliated to the president's daughters, what is the extent, to what extent can we say that they will be held accountable if they are violating the sustainable mining practices or the rules and regulations relating to mining in a sustainable manner, okay, at the mining site, right, at the concession.
That's right.
All right. Yeah. And, you know, Akonta mining, for instance, okay, the EPA and the Minerals Commission, to what extent can they hold a powerful person like, you know, Wuntumi, okay, the owner of Akonta mining, to account for his actions? So what we are faced with is a situation where, all right, because of the involvement of powerful political actors in the Galamsey, the illegal mining, as well as in unsustainable legal mining, okay, that is mining that has been licensed by the Minerals Commission, you know, by politically connected persons, very powerful individuals, okay, there is no accountability, and they are destroying, the environment, you know, left, right, center. So I think that the Attorney General, you know, has a role to play, all right, not only in terms of reining in those who are engaged in the illegal mining, all right, but also in ensuring that the police excesses and the frivolous and trumped-up charges being brought by the police, all right, do not, do not fly, all right. So for me, we are faced with a very grave situation where the Galamsey is, constitutes an existential threat to the survival of our country as a whole.
Yes.
And then we are also faced with a situation where, in the case of citizens seeking to express their grievances, the judiciary is not very helpful. No, sadly, they are not being helpful because, you see, when I was in law school, there was a, you know, in our law, Makola is in the, our law school is in the center of Makola. So there was a particular, I don't know whether it's a glue, and they call it Pepe last stop.
Yes, last stop. Yes.
Is used
Right. Good. So we used to say, those of us who were, very much interested in constitutional law and human rights at the time, we used to say that the courts, all right, are the Kwakwe last stop. For any dictator, all right, who wants to violate the fundamental rights of the citizen. Okay? Yes. At the time, even though I've been NDC forever, His Excellency Jerry Rawlings was in office. And because of his military background, okay, there was this assumption that he was, someone who didn't respect the fundamental rights of citizens. But if you go back and evaluate, I think that Jerry John Rawlings was even better than Akufo-Addo in upholding the fundamental rights of Ghanaians. Okay, at that time, okay, the current president gave the impression that he was a human rights fighter. He was a human rights lawyer. Oh. Okay, if you take what is happening now, that was all a marketing gimmick. It was all a marketing gimmick because as president, he is presiding over the violation of the rights of citizens, and he doesn't even see it right to mention it at the United Nations in his speech. Okay? He should have been the first person to call the IGP to order in terms of the allegations that are coming out. In fact, there is even evidence of the excesses, that, have been perpetuated. So for me, I think that we are faced with a situation where the last bastion for the protection of the fundamental rights of the citizen, all right, I think is being broken by decisions of judges that are not well thought through. Okay, so for instance, Martin Kpebu gave the example of a lawyer who was requesting that the matter be stood down for just a few minutes for him to have conference with his client. In fact, that is the practical manifestation of the right to counsel under Article 19 of the Constitution. And a judge says in the public interest. What is in the public interest, about saying that the person should go to remand? Is it what? To teach the person a lesson or to teach others a lesson that when you demonstrate, you'll be thrown into jail for 2 weeks? Is that the public interest? Yeah. Okay. That, I think, is an abuse of judicial discretion. Yes. We know that bail is a discretionary, a remedy. All right. But the discretion must be exercised judiciously. It must be exercised in accordance with Article 296 of the Constitution. There must be no arbitrariness at all. A judge must be able to give considered reasons why the decision is being taken. So, for instance, I need 10 minutes to conference with my client. We lawyers, we act on the instructions of our clients. And so if my client say, I have been instructed. So, for instance, the young man who was talking about his sister, all right, might have been the one who called this lawyer up and said, my sister is one of the demonstrators, has been locked up, she has these conditions and so on. But the lawyer has to verify that from the client. All right, 10 minutes of, conferencing would give the lawyer a clue as to what is the level of participation of this person in the demonstration. If, for instance, she was just merely using her phone, or other gadget to stream, the whole thing live, okay? Why is she being locked up? For trying to inform the Ghanaian public about what is happening.
What's going on? All
right. So the lawyer would have known that, she was just merely streaming, and would have told his lordship that, or her ladyship, that, this person.
It's a media person.
Right, is a media person, and so on and so forth. But if you deny them that opportunity and say in the public interest, the person should be remanded for 2 weeks, what you are simply doing is violating the fundamental right to counsel and also the fundamental right to liberty in an arbitrary manner. And I think that, the earlier our judges scrutinize very, critically the actions of the police, the better it will be for the protection of the fundamental rights, you know, of our citizens. And I want to end by referring to something. You see, the case that I referred you to, that is the case of MPP and IGP, which was a 1994 case, was a case that paved the way for the Kumupreko demonstration in 1995. And that was the case, that was a demonstration led by Nana Akufo-Addo, okay, Alhaji Malik Kokubako, yes, Reku Brobe, and you know, Kwesi Pratt and co. You see, if the police at the time, you know, I think about two people died also, all right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. You know, those people would have lost their lives in vain because they died for a cause where there has been, there is now regression rather than progression in the protection of the right to demonstrate. And if Nana Akufo-Addo had been arrested and sent to remand for 2 weeks, as we speak now, there have been lectures being organized on the heroes of democracy. All right, that to celebrate him for, the liberty, the curtailment of his liberty, you know, so that people can have, you see, that is the paradoxical aspect of it. Because they did this and we thought it opened the way for Ghanaians to exercise the right of assembly and the right to demonstrate and the right to freely express their grievances by going on the street and letting the government know that they are unhappy with the manner in which the government is handling a particular issue. But currently what we are seeing is that there has been regression because anytime the police, you know, in cahoots, you know, with the executive branch of government, the Attorney General's office, they go to court. The judiciary also, you know, kotos, to their line of action.
So you question the judiciary?
Yeah, I think the judges must sit up. Okay, I think they must sit up.
It's some 12 minutes after 9. But you see, it's good that we keep going back to the reason for this demonstration in the first place. And why they were on the streets. Yes. And the consistent reference to the existential threats that we're faced with demanded that something be done to send a message. Right? But if you look at, and Laura, you were saying that you had a list of some persons who are not involved. We have some of the police stations that they were sent to. In fact, the one we're going to show on the screen, and for the benefit of those listening to us on radio, about 16 of them is what we know, but I'm sure there are others that probably didn't even come. I'm told that some of them were sent as far back as the Tema police station, Tema, one of the communities.
Yes, some of them we don't know as of now. Can you imagine? Dampari, and you are holding your office. You should be out of that office by now.
Tesano police station, Sukura, Dansoma, Nima, Oyibi, Railways police station, Ministries, Westlands, Legon, Ayimensa, Adabraka, Jamestown, and so many other places. Yes, that is what we do know. You say there are some who you don't know where they are now.
We don't know where they are, please. What? So I'm on a platform where lawyers for the protesters are. I've been giving support, right? I've been giving support. And I can confirm to you that the following persons, we don't know where they are. 1, Fanny Otu. 2, Samuel Samako, please forgive my accent in case I don't pronounce it well. Into brackets, Glenn. 3, Thomas Yebua. 4, Kelvin Nogbeji. 5, Mohammed King Hussein. King Hassan. 6, Tanko Nambon. 7, Philip Ousu Kobina. 8, Desmond Akisibek. 9, Comrade Sadiq Abubakar. So these people, we don't know where they are. Yes.
Don't know where
so
they are.
As lawyers, as lawyers.
So were they taken to court? Yes. They were taken to court?
Yes.
Because my understanding is that all of the 54 persons have been remanded.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's my understanding. My understanding is that all of the 54 have been. So if they were
when we spoke to one of the lawyers, said that when they appeared in court, they asked which police station they were in, and after the court hearing, they took some of them to different stations.
That is what they're doing. That's why your friend is you. Adam Bona, he's reputed to be your friend. Tell Dampare that this is Ghana. Ghana is not his personal property. Tell Dampare, how can you supervise such a police service? What does Dampare think? Oh, everybody tells me, look, my phone is full of multiple. Everybody tells Dampare is your friend. Dampare, I've always known anyway, but I want you to know. Tell Dampare, this is not his personal property. Why is Dampare so this political even more than a Kufuado? You are just interested in pleasing a Kufuado just because they say he will sack you. They are doing this, I mean, stupid things. Stupid things. No, if we don't do that, we will not get. At this wise, look. How many hours citizens can't find their lawyers? No, what are you saying? How many hours? Today is what, Saturday? You know what? Today is Saturday. We can't find them. Don't they have family? That's what I've said.
Hold on.
That is what I've said. Look, when you say something stupid, it's stupid doesn't make sense. What else is it?
I know what you want to.
No, that is the word for it. What else is it?
You've made your point. You have made your point. You run through the names.
Yes, we can't find them.
You can't find them. As we speak, there's been no communication on their whereabouts.
Yes.
So you are part of the lawyers who are representing them.
Yes.
What action have you taken to identify where they are?
Yes, so that's our look. So we have a coordinator, Rachel. They've gone around. Listen, I will show you my phone. If a team of over 80 something lawyers, let's just put it 79 legal protests. They've gone round. You can't find them. Look, Mr. Ocansey, that's the page.
Okay.
That's the page. Look at the list. You see the list here. Look at the list. That's over 80 lawyers on a platform. And then we have people who go around.
I think there's a remedy in law. Have you scored for suit?
When? We are losing time. That's a problem. We are losing time. Look, when you read the Securities and Intelligence Act, right? National security, they monitor radio. So it's Dampare say, and Dampare has PID. The people who kill citizens have killed over 10 Fulanis, killed 9 people in Botiano. The Nigerians, 7. It's not a wild allegation. It's true. Ask so many people.
This matter came up at the probe.
Why?
That was established. There hasn't been any conclusive.
The people are dead, and you are doing what?
No, relax.
No, when you say you mean the people have not died?
No, I'm saying
they are dead.
But to say that they go around killing people, we don't know that. Because it's a subject of investigation. You know that, don't you?
Yes. So that's our conclusion. But we've made complaints that they've killed. The police have killed. No, the people have died. So you're allowed to say you think that they've killed. So yours is that by investigation, it's still under investigation. Yes, and by that doesn't mean I cannot say they've killed. Yes.
That concludes the investigation that is ongoing.
Oh, no, I've not said it's concluded, but the people are dead.
Yes, the people are dead. So, that's not a...
The Podiano one, the Nigerians, are they also not dead? Fulanis.
I think the reports, I think they've done with the reports.
Yeah, but every time, 9 people, citizens. No, what? Then the Nigerians, 6. Then Fulani
have you seen that report?
No, it's not out. So I'm talking about the death. So the death is what is most important to us. So their families are there. Families haven't heard anything. Then the report is somewhere, and we think that is good.
I think
the report is somewhere.
That yes, the death has
why?
But I want to make
somebody's private property.
There is investigation ongoing in that matter. We don't want to make conclusions as to who did the killing. That's where I want us to establish clearly that we cannot pin.
No, so the reports, the citizens have reported that it's police that have killed them.
Let's be clear on that. I think this is not a subject of the conversation.
You see, when we need to be very careful because this is a very big platform. This issue about Nigerians being killed, the Nigerian leaders here have come out to say they are not aware of it. So let's be very careful because then you see, whatever we say here goes far. There will be people watching us all over the world. The Nigerians in this country have come out to say no Nigerian has died in the manner that probably we are putting us, so that we don't start any, because we have our citizens. No, Martin. Martin. Let's be very careful, because you are mentioning another country citizens' name.
Yes,
we have our citizens in this country.
Yeah.
So this issue came up on the floor of Parliament, and then I'm told the Nigerian authorities in Ghana actually came out to say they are not, nothing of that nature happened. So we need to be very careful because
the speaker said we should wait. They will do investigations.
I am. What I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that at least I am privy to the fact that the Nigerian authorities came here. I wouldn't want to say, but I am privy because I work within the sector. They came out to say this thing that is being alleged didn't. So we need to be very careful.
Let's also be careful. There's an ASP called Jalil Bauer. There's a policeman. There are policemen who were there when they were shot.
It's okay.
He's alive. Is Jalil not alive?
Martin, let's be a bit careful.
If Jalil is lying, if Jalil is like Jalil Bauer is a policeman. What is this? If he's lying, set up a pro, put it on TV. Jalil Bauer, he's a policeman. He was there when they killed him. He was part of the investigations.
I do not want this to be a part of the conversation we're having this morning. What I want to indicate is that because of the statement that you made, making reference to the police culpability in this matter when investigations are ongoing, I needed to be clear on that to the extent that investigations have not been concluded, we cannot make a conclusive statement. I think that's
it's alleged.
Yes, but then there has to be some basis to the allegation. That's not necessarily the fact that you say and you know it's alleged. That's not excuse you of the burden of proof. You know. So let's.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Let's go on to the telephone now. Benjamin Church, ACP, Dr. Benjamin Agozo, retired, is a former police chief, and his lawyer, coincidentally, his lawyer Martin Pebu.
I represented him with my team: Komivi Jochi, Marcel, Yunus Bia, Hamdia, Mohamed, etc.
He's joining us on the telephone. ACP Dr. Benjamin Agozo, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on Key Point.
Good morning, and my regards to all the panelists.
Great, and I understand you have some difficulty joining us on Zoom, but I appreciate your patience having to go through the process. Now, for you, knowing the processes of the Ghana Police Service, now there's been an admission that, yes, they held some protesters beyond the 48 hours as allowed by law. What they have done in the statement that they have issued is that they have referred this matter to the Police Professional Standards Bureau, formerly PIPS. There's a concern that any time that the police has investigated itself, we don't see the end of such investigations. Now, is it one that you would subscribe to, or knowing the internal measures in the police service, this matter can be investigated by them and then we would have some punitive measures taken?
Mr. Ocansey, if you indulge me, I'd like to do some preliminary remarks here before I come to the main issue that you raised. First of all, I'd like to agree to some extent with my friend Dr. Adam Bona on the conduct of the demonstrators, Democracy Hub. I think they can do better, or they could have done better than what they did, and some of the comments they are alleged to have made were just unfortunate. But having said that, I'd like to also point out that police should be encouraged to see demonstrations as something that contributes to a peaceful country rather than one that destroys it. That's my first point. I'd like to also mention that demonstrations can be very loud. Demonstrators can be very enthusiastic. Demonstrators can even point and insult sometimes. The police officers, they could be boisterous, yet those demonstrations could be deemed as peaceful. So, in a sense, demonstrations are not church processes where we think that everything should be in absolute terms peaceful, where they just feel like church people and then move on. I mean, we should not expect that. We should also note that even in developed countries that we are copying from, some of the demonstrations are very, very violent. We are not asking for violence, but when there is one, there are procedures and processes by which the police can act and deal with some of those things. And we must go in for those procedures rather than the manner in which the police acted, because they are professionals. If the police acted in the way they did, and as we have on tape and record, then what is the difference between the police and then the demonstrators that we are condemning? What is the difference between them? Between the two, there's no better one. So we should always encourage the police to be very professional. Why would you arrest onlookers? Why would you arrest people who were passers-by? Why would you arrest? I mean, the manner in which they did it was so unprofessional. And let us be minded about some of those things. Now, having said that, let me go back to the question that you asked. First of all, let me commend the police administration for admitting that there were 2 people who were detained beyond the 48 hours. And let me also link this with what my counsel, Mr. Pebu, said, that, you know, by 48 hours, the person should be in court. 48 hours should not be at the police station before you leave the court, because by that time you are over 48 hours. That's the first point, another point I'm making. The second point on this 48 matter is this. When does detention start? Detention starts with arrest. The moment your movement is restrained by the police, you have been arrested, your movement has been restrained, and therefore the 48 hours start counting there. Technically, you must begin to appreciate that. Because you know something, the police can arrest you at 9 a.m., and they can go around with you in the whole of Accra and get to a police station by 7 p.m. When does the arrest start? It starts at 9. So the 48 hours must start counting by 9 a.m., not at 7 p.m. that you have been formally put into detention. The moment you are arrested and your movement has been restrained, it means that the 48 hours starts counting. And I believe that our lawyers must begin to agitate on this matter. Then back to the issue of professional standards unit. I admit that the police could investigate some of these things, but not when an issue of such a national character has been raised. Police denied it initially, and now they have admitted it. Why should police investigate itself? I mentioned elsewhere yesterday that we have something we call esprit de corps in the Ghana police, in the police service generally in the world. When police investigate themselves, they tend to be lenient towards themselves. They tend to support themselves. They tend to vindicate themselves. And I'll give you 2 examples. In 2016, I think whether 2016 or 2015, during the Let My Vote Count demonstration, where a lot of people were beaten, including Gabi, the police set up a committee by itself, and they vindicated themselves. And I can tell you that at the end of the day, I was at the police headquarters. They vindicated themselves. They felt that they did the right things. Again, I recall the one at I mentioned yesterday when a guy was killed. The police professional standards unit was asked to investigate it. At the end of the day, we have not seen the report. So what is the guarantee that with this, the police are going to do a good job? My point is that, in essence, in other democracies like UK, Malawi, and other places, we have what we call independent police complaints commissions, which investigate such things, such issues, to increase public confidence in the police complaint system. But in the absence of such independent police complaints commission, we could have the Minister for Interior coming out with an independent committee to investigate the police, but not allowing the police to investigate themselves. Because if the police investigates itself in this matter, there will be cover-ups. I can assure you that there will be cover-ups. I have been a police officer for 36 years, so when I say certain, and I've served at certain strategic levels, and I know what I'm talking about. I've just given you an example of the Let My Vote Count demonstration and how police investigated itself and then vindicated itself. Although people's eyes were gouged and all kinds of things, they vindicated themselves. I remember police were using hoods at the time. They still vindicated themselves. So what is the guarantee that police are not going to vindicate themselves in this kind of matter? I am strongly of the view that the IGP, Mr. Dan Parry, does not have the moral authority at this time to investigate itself or himself in this matter. He's been involved in it from day one, and therefore the Minister for Interior should take up the matter and investigate it. Those are my comments. I don't know whether you have some questions on this matter, and I can continue.
Indeed, you want the another body there to take it up. And this time you want the Interior Ministry to want to invest. But then again, that is also an agency of the state. I've heard proposals for an independent inquiry into this.
And that's exactly what I mean. I'm talking about a situation where the Minister for the Interior will set up an independent committee, a committee made up of independent-minded people to investigate this matter and come out with reports that will improve our service delivery and other things, especially when it comes to demonstration. But we cannot afford to ask the police to investigate themselves in this kind of matter. Because you see, we have clear guidelines when it comes to demonstration and policing demonstrations. The police must deal with it in accordance with those principles. Let me give you a typical example. In 2016, we developed what we call the Ghana Police Incident Public Order Management, Ghana Police Incident and Public Order Management Manual, 2016, which we call IFOM, which was by DFID, now FTDO, and it was to harmonize all the public order tactics that we've had. Remember, we had some from the French, the British, and other people, and the Asians and other people. So we harmonized them, and these things are available. So you don't just go on rounding up passers-by, onlookers, and all kinds of people, and even those who were breaching the laws. You have a procedure by which you must deal with them. We must have warnings to them. We must have speakers, microphones that we should use when we are going for such demonstration. We never saw some of these things. None of those things were shown. We never saw it. Those warnings, human rights issues are all embedded in it. We see people's rights being violated. And we are talking about the people who have been violating the rights. No, your lawyers, look, let me give you an example. My lawyer, Martin Pebu, is seated there. He had to fight at the BNI before I was allowed, before he himself and my family was allowed to see me. And in the BNI, for instance, you cannot visit somebody even twice in a week. Once, if you come the second time, you'll be frustrated. And even the first time, it will take you about 5 hours. Up at the top of his voice, because he was allowed, as my lawyer, to see me. And subsequently, there were frustrations. They could not do that. Look at the treated fact that the Attorney General presented at the court. And I am used to this kind of thing because my facts were treated against me. We cannot practice our democracy in this way. There are ethical values embedded in our democratic principles. And this Attorney General, we must call him to order. This kind of continuous twisting and fabrication of facts must stop.
Well, and
we must stop.
Dr. Gojo, you're right. Now, to the extent that in other jurisdictions, when incidents like this happen, it informs conversations about what has to be done going forward to improve on systems and structures so such situations are not repeated. This is not going to be the last of the demonstrations we're going to have in this country. Yes. What has to be put in place to ensure that incidents like this are not repeated going forward?
Thank you very much. You know, there have been a lot of commissions of inquiry in the past. From the pre-colonial days, the most important one that is very interesting is the ASHA committee, ASHA Commission report. And all these things have been talking about demonstration, policing demonstrations, and all kinds of things. But at the end of it all, some of the things that we could pick is training. And not just training, but problem-based training. Not just problem-based training, but problem-based training that is to do what Professor Tuguba calls historical institutionalism. And what is historical institutionalism? Police have a psyche as to how they have a subculture as to how they do their own thing. And I have sat in class many years ago where an instructor will tell you when they just beat them up. That is the historical institutionalism we are talking about. Problem-based learning, that will unlearn some of these things that Professor Tuguba called historical institutionalism. And I think that I call this a traditional institutional behavioral architecture that we must change. We must not just do that, we must also insist on curriculum renewal programs at all levels, from basic to cadet, and then to even assistant commissioners and all kinds of things. I remember that during Alasan's time, you cannot become an assistant commissioner or any position without, not Alasan, I think at year 2 and Alasan. You cannot do that without going for any training. And there must be training before you are promoted. These days, we are just picked and promoted. And people are even, their juniors are promoted above others based on the perception of the IGP alone. And these are matters before court now that we must deal with. Okay. So we are talking about not just, let me finish here, we are not talking about just any training or some kind of training. We are not talking about training that is counterproductive. But training that shares negative experiences. The training that will undo the negatives so that we can learn new things. And it must also go along with institutional building and empowerment of the people, of the police service, and then the citizens as well. These are some of the things that we can deal with.
Dr. Benjamin Agojo, I thank you so much for your input as well and your intervention. Thank you for joining us here on Key Point. I know you're doing the listening as we go on. Dr. Benjamin Agojo is retired Assistant Commissioner of Police, and also he said he did his PhD in what?
Human rights.
In human rights. As well as speaking to the issues and the recommendations as to what has to be done going forward, because this certainly doesn't have to be seen as an event. A number of things must improve going forward so we don't find ourselves in this situation again. As we have seen, as Dr. Bonan says, there's been improvement, but it didn't come automatically. There was that deliberate effort to improve on situations. We cannot continue this way and expect to be doing the same things and expect different results. We'll go for this quick break. When we're back, we'll conclude on this matter because I need to move into
2 minutes on.
Yes.
The fact that the 37 has other entrances, etc.
Precisely. And then also the issue about the reasons why they were denied bail as well. I'll be back shortly after this quick break. There's an issue that you would want to hear. Stay with us.
In a place where conviction meets compassion, Heritage Christian University College stands tall, shaping futures and societies. Here, creativity isn't just a concept, it's the fuel for social change. But it's not just about entrepreneurship, it's about nurturing a spirit of service and community. We instill in our students the values of leadership and giving back. Our graduates don't just earn degrees, they embody entrepreneurship, philanthropy, ethics, and global competence. Heritage is where innovation thrives amidst a serene environment, offering unparalleled experiences. Come, be part of our journey where creativity and community unite to shape a better tomorrow. Heritage Christian University College, educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, a tranquil oasis in the serene surroundings of Aye Mensa Danfa. Discover Sand Bay, our 3-bedroom homes that redefine comfort and affordability, along with cozy 2-bedroom options that make you feel right at home.
Good one, and I'm always so sensitive.
I caught my husband touching my daughter in a bad way. Mind you, my daughter is only 4 years old.
He's lucky he's doing that with his own daughter, not somebody's daughter. Because by now, like, he wouldn't like where he is now.
It's a devilish act. It's a satanic act. What kind of feelings are you looking for?
Doctors who save lives train for many years and they never stop. How come you want to go into an institution like marriage and you just met and you think that is it?
Confessions shows this Saturday at 10 p.m. only on TV3.
Whoever drops the pencil first is out.
So you want the boy? Show me your boy. Show me your boy.
Michael, what's this offbeat that you are doing on the show?
I'm the third show.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you paint someone randomly and show it to the person.
Yeah. Sometimes they dash me the transport fare and ask me not to pay.
Oh, then this is a good strategy. Well, I heard from the other one who also called me months later, jubilating because he had finally overcome addiction.
Initially, it was just one puff and I'm fine.
Yeah.
But after some time, one puff is not enough. You want the whole room.
I draw personalities, but I don't showcase.
Why?
Because
they don't pay.
Yes, yes.
The Day Show, Sundays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Cowbell Coffee.
Is there an element in the NPP's manifesto that you say would give the average Ghanaian some ease?
It is through education, knowing that whatever we set our minds to, we can do it.
We've been talking so much about raising future leaders. If all the mothers are going to work, who will be home to take care of our kids?
Can you can a can as a canner can a can?
Have you ever secretly wished for an extra holiday just to avoid the Monday morning? It was a secret. I made it very clear.
The Ladies Circle shows this Saturday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Yaz Sanitary Pad, MTN.
Yaz toothpaste and brushes. Woodin.
Cowbell Coffee.
The energy on stage alone, even if you had to play a minor role, the way you carry that role.
No matter how small the role is, you have to hit it and hit it hard.
I can't be living in sorrow. Anytime I travel, I'll meet a Ghanaian who is unhappy about the system. How will it change? The only thing I can do is through my music.
How many years ago? 2002. Chai.
Showbiz 360 shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Betway. Winner big.
Cowbell Coffee.
It's time for you to hear the message of the gospel that will sit down into you and you will develop Christ. The Bible said those who are Christ when he appears are the ones who can what? Be raptured. And for somebody to be Christ at his appearing, you need the divine socialization process where we teach you about the Christ. And when you develop the Christ inside of you, then you exhibit the Christ on the outside. So you develop Christ in your inner man, then Christ on your outer man begin to be evident for everybody to see. Yes, so people begin to testify that truly this one is Christ.
Word of Life with Prophet John Anochi shows this and every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. on TV3.
And welcome back to Keep On TV3. We are live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. I have quite a number of your messages. We'll run through it, but I need to conclude on this matter. And there's another issue which we have gotten information of, so stay with us. We'll look into it. It's the ECG matter. And somebody is going to join us who has some insider information on what is happening. So stay with us.
This ECG.
There was a specific instance of the persons who were complaining of not getting into the 37 referral facility because of what was happening.
Yes.
And the fact that demonstrators had blocked a particular road accessing the hospital.
Yes. Yes.
What do you know about this?
Yes, so my humble take on it was I expected IG to have, before the demonstration, would have come up with announcements about traffic into 37. Okay, because remember, this is not the first time we've demonstrated. Last September, the one we stood in the rain. Rain beat us about 3 hours. Yeah. We're standing in there, the same thing, right? So, and we saw how it went. So, since there was a risk that, and they themselves, let's not also even forget, please, Mr. Ocansey, later on, I want us to do a full session on where the police actually even blocked the road. So they themselves, you see where they blocked. The demonstrators didn't do much, but I'll leave that now. My substantive point is that because the notice for the demonstration was given more than 3 months ago, I expected that as part of preparation, IG would have had the plan of 37, not all, since it's a military installation, not everything, but just the point to show the alternative entrances at the back. More than 20 years ago, there were occasions we had to go to 37 through the back when we were at University of Ghana. Okay. So there are entrances at the back. So you show, educate people that, please, when you are bringing sick people, because of the 3-day demonstration, it will be at the back. So that is planning.
All right.
So the more I hear people talk about 37, the entrance was blocked, the more I hear, it's like, oh, IG, I beg. You know, the other brother just reminded me that IG is my friend. So, you know, yes, except that IG, for some time, I mean, because of the death squad, the PID death squad, now I'm no longer sure we are friends. Because, you see, when they kill people...
He's not your good friend. But you are still friends.
So, but I beg you, IG.
That's fine.
So, is it not reasonable that because this notice was there more than 3 months, you'd have had a plan, it's sort of small, not to reveal everything, that on that day, the other entrances would be used. And even if there wasn't one, you naturally, one would have been created. More than 3 months, how did you plan that you didn't educate people that on that day you are supposed to use the back entrance? How did you plan? What kind of planning did you do that you didn't show alternative entrances?
Okay.
It's so much. And look, today we are complaining this about a demonstration. You remember another point, George Floyd. When George Floyd died, okay, and President Kufuor gave his support to the marches. You know the things that people did, the George Floyd, the black man who was killed. You know, he had apparently been involved in like more than 5 crimes, had been convicted already, so he was a multiple convicted person. I mean, but you see, all that time, nobody emphasized that time. Ghana, if people had heard that, oh, this man that we are saying Black Lives Matter, he's already been convicted like 5 times before. Everybody say, oh, or a lot of people that say criminal. But I'm saying that George Floyd, people were not talking about the fact that by the time he was being killed, he had already been convicted several times. Several. Yet, nobody brought that up. President Kufuor lent his support. They protested, and thanks Kwame Sapon-Isidu, you know, he's part of the people who presented a petition to CID boss Ando Kofi. He brought me this side of it. They protested. Who caused the riots? The George Floyd thing. Nobody prosecuted them. The George Floyd matter. The protesters, nobody prosecuted them. So there are times that when you look at the greater social evil that protesters are trying to stem, you don't prosecute. But Godfrey Dami, I'm not surprised. Is he not the one who was caught on tape negotiating in the house of a judge, trying to ask Japa to go and lie to the court? So when Godfrey Dami insists on prosecuting, don't be surprised, because his history shows that this is a man who is the opposite of justice, yet he's Attorney General.
Because this matter is coming directly from his office. But then again, Dr. Bona, unless you made your point, we are going to round up on this matter.
Yes, so that's last point. So IG, we beg you, please, get in there. The Securities and Intelligence Agencies Act, it says, look, National Security monitor all the radios. 3 days before this matter went to court, Joy FM kept announcing that police did not allow lawyers access to this protested. Where were you? So National Security didn't inform you. If your own PID didn't inform you, how about IG? You know, we all loved you, we're hailing you, but Charlie, you turned out to be a 9-day wonder. So you see, this one, I'm not happy at all. And especially those killings, the Fulani, Kwawutafo, Donko Krom, all those things. So it's...
These are matters we will look into. You just brought it up, right? Dr. Bona, in a minute, I need to move on to the other issue. In fact, because in moving forward, things must be done differently.
Yeah.
It cannot be the case that this matter becomes an issue of conversation today because it has happened. So what corrective measures need to be put in place to ensure that we don't get ourselves back at this point again?
I think what needs to be done, the precinct or the 37, I think demonstrations, as much as possible, leaders of demonstration, especially when it has a potential of being violent, should move away from perceived or security zones in, hospitals and health facilities. I say this because, like I said, and let me repeat, you have, what's the name, on the day, military officer. You just ordinarily would not turn military officers away when they are on a national assignment. Yeah. But military officers were asked by the police to use another route. So can you imagine the military officers refused and they called for backup? What would have happened? Everything in their way would have been cleared. And there you will see some of us say, the military is this, the military is that. But that day, the military did not do that. But you see, unfortunately, we are not actually putting that also across. Because mine is that these things, we shouldn't look at it and say, oh, we should just move on. There were excesses. Let's look at the excesses and ensure things are done right in future. But then the leaders of demonstration should know at what point they need to probably sit and talk. Because I think that eventually the leaders of the demonstrations wanted to now have a sit with the police, but it was late. And subsequently, we've seen what has happened. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that we need to be very circumspect. I would call for, you said objective analysis of this. And I'm happy my brother Martin Pebu, accept the fact that even there were excesses. But like he's talking about this George Floyd thing, you see, the US of A has a history of racism. In the UK, a friend has just sent me a message of non-violent environmental activists have been jailed for non-violent. I mean, it wasn't violent. But probably someone will say the processes leading to their, where their human right violated allegedly, I don't know. So I think no one's rights should be, curtailed without any justifiable cause. And so as far as I'm concerned, let's look at it moving forward. But we need to be very careful because demonstrations are part of that. It's part of us. It's something that we are allowed to do. But it should be done within the law. You don't say you are demonstrating, and you demonstrate around a referral house. For me, whether there is a back road to 37, 37 is a major referral hospital, just as we have reached. As for Kolebu, no one goes to Kolebu because of where it is. But I think that let's take a decision. Our leaders, Rich, and what do you call it, 37, should demonstrations happen in those areas at all moving forward? Right. I would say no, we shouldn't, because it's something that would violate other vulnerable people, violate their rights.
Well, thank you. There are a number of messages, and Dr. Dominic I would take your final thought on this matter while we move into the next issue. But a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office is joining us on Zoom right now. So this is just for a quick intervention, and because I needed to move on to the other issues, but just for that intervention that he wants to make, I think, yes, we'll just accommodate that very quickly. And Wilberforce Mensah speaks for the Attorney General's office. Wilberforce, good morning. Thank you for...
Good morning. I hope my mic is on.
I can hear you clearly.
Perfect.
Now,
okay, so I just want...
Yes. What is the specific intervention that you're talking about?
Yes, I wanted to touch on briefly on some statements that have been made out in the public and even on your platform this morning, the suggestion that the Office of the Attorney General is doing or is not doing much in respect of the fight against Galamsey. And I want to put on record that that is certainly not the case. The Office of the Attorney General has secured over 200 convictions since I think 2017, 2018, over 200, I think about 250 or so. Currently, as we speak, there are over 850 people being prosecuted for illegal mining. There's not a single docket or a single workable docket that has come to the Office of the Attorney General, and the docket is not being worked on towards the ends of prosecution. So the narrative out there, I think I'll use your very august platform and with the seniors on your platform as well to propagate that message as well, that the Office of the Attorney General, like every well-meaning citizen in Ghana, takes Galamsey very seriously. There are people even within this government that are being prosecuted for Galamsey, and the Minister for Justice, being a Minister for Justice for all, is not looking at things with party colors, amongst other things. The issue of Akonta mining has come up severally. The issue of Akonta mining, I have to state also as well, that the only time, one, the Office of the Attorney General is not the nation's mandated body to do investigations properly, so-called. That falls within the paradigms of the police service. Now, when it comes to the issue of Akonta mining, the only time the Akonta mining docket came to the Office of the Attorney General was even, I think, before even 2017, and that was in respect of a civil matter. Whether or not a docket had been presented to the Minister for Justice or has been presented to the Office of the Attorney General to prosecute Akonta mining, that has not happened. So it's not a dereliction of duty of the Attorney General or the entire office that we are not following something in respect of Galamsey. In respect of Galamsey, the stats are amazing. Like I said, I mean, there are several foreigners. These people that we are talking about, these convictions that I'm saying have been secured, being about 250, about 30% or 40% are indeed foreigners. So we are not also looking at nationality. We are looking at justice. What does the law say? And that's when it comes to the issue of Galamsey, if it's time for a protest that I feel, this. So I'm agreeing with Adam Bona on everything he said. I think Adam Bona has been very objective. I'm not saying Mr. Martin Pebu or the Venerable Dominic Ayini, they've not been objective, but Adam Bona has been very specific that protest, yes, you do have the right to protest, but how was it done? So it's the how that has sort of received a legal reaction. The other things, Mr. Martin Pebu has seen me in court where it seemed like I was defending an accused person because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. In respect of this demonstration, some things that happened were quite excessive, and hence the reaction of law to that action. And in respect of Galamsey, the Office of the Attorney General has secured several prosecutions, and we continue tirelessly to prosecute illegal miners to ensure, in respect or as far as our mandate is concerned, to ensure that Ghana is safer. So from our point of view, from prosecution, we are doing absolutely everything that we can. I repeat, over 850 people are being prosecuted currently for Galamsey, and even out of that, about 250 have been convicted.
Some excesses or the actions on the part of the demonstrators or protesters resulting in the reaction of the police. It cannot be justified, especially when it leads to the curtailment of the rights of these citizens. I think that is one that is established, and in law, we don't have to contest that. Secondly, are you saying that there are people within this government who are being prosecuted for their involvement in illegal mining in Galamsey? This government?
Well, I personally, yes, that is a fact. I mean, this is a matter of public record. I think it was even on. It was even in the media. I'm not sure whether it was your media house.
Okay, the public record yes. That which persons, who and who within this government are being prosecuted for?
I mean, off the top of my head, I know. I think the chairman for Kwada so. Off the top of my head, I'll have to get the figures or the specific names for you. But
NPP chairman for Kwada so.
Bottom line is that prosecution for Galamsey, from the lenses of the Office of the Attorney General, knows no party colors. The color we see of our water is brown, and we are all concerned at the office of the Attorney General. We are all concerned, and we are doing our bit under Article 88(5) of the Constitution to prosecute cases that come before us.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that it's also good to know, especially because you made this statement, if you are contesting the public opinion that the Office of the Attorney General is not showing commitment in prosecuting persons who are politically exposed and connected, and they are reported or alleged involvement in illegal mining, and you say that there are people within this government who are involved in illegal mining and are being prosecuted by the AG's office.
I would not say, because until the court makes that determination, I cannot say they are involved in illegal mining. What I'm saying is that the dockets that come before us, whether or not a person is politically exposed or not, we do not look at that. We go ahead and we prosecute according to the facts as we see in the docket. So I cannot sit here and say that person A is involved in illegal mining. It's the court that makes that final determination.
Well, I was quoting your words, what you said earlier, unless you are changing your position.
Very well. Then this is an amendment of saying. But what I'm saying is what is factually on record is that no one can mention any single docket that has come to the Office of the Attorney General in respect of illegal mining, where the facts unequivocally show illegal mining, and then based on the facts or the evidence especially, we know we don't persecute, we prosecute. So based on the evidence and the quality of investigation that the police have brought to us, we prosecute. And we are prosecuting over 850 cases right now. We have secured over about 250 convictions, and we continue to prosecute. The number of attorneys at the Office of the Attorney General are indeed limited, but they are working.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am so
anyone who wants to protest against Galamsey. I respect anyone who wants to speak against Galamsey. I think it's all a good thing. So from our side, what we can do is we prosecute, and that's exactly what we are doing.
I see. So you mentioned the chairman of the MPP in the Kwadaso constituency. You say you have a docket before you that is being reported to be allegedly involved in illegal mining?
Off the top of my head, I'll have to confirm. But off the top of my head, there's such a prosecution going on.
I see.
Off the top of my head, maybe I'll get there.
The Kwadaso constituency MPP chairman.
Yes.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, that's what I can say. So not an emphatic statement, but a preliminary
but I mean,
statement
there are 275 constituencies. If you mention Kwadaso, it means you know what you're talking about. I don't think it's something you want to amend your position on. I mean, you've just said it. You've said a number of things that when I put it back to you, you amend your position.
No, but this is a matter of public record. I'm sure you can even just go on there. I'm sure producers... Yes. Alfred, I'm sure... I mean, this is a matter of public record. I'm sure your producers can even just go on the internet and find that information. This is not something that... I mean, a court is an open court. It's a matter of public record. So this is not something to shy away from. It's something to say that the Office of the Attorney General is not looking at party colors, no favoritism, crime is crime, and we prosecute accordingly.
Wilberforce, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Alfred.
Isaac Wilberforce Mensah speaks for the Attorney General's office. He's also a lawyer joining us here on this. Dr. Dominic Ayeni, quick one. He says, I mean, the case of Akuntama, he says they don't do investigation, really.
Alfred, I'm really shocked because I think that the young man misunderstands the ambit of the authority of the Attorney General. Because if you look at Article 88, it's very clear that all prosecutorial authority is vested in the Attorney General. You cannot take that power and give it to the police. How do you prosecute without investigations? Okay. So the Attorney General definitely has power to order an investigation into an issue, suo motu, by himself or herself. Okay, without requiring a petition or without the prompting of any person. Attorney General can order an investigation into a matter of public interest, for purposes of the conduct of prosecutions. And then to the question as to what we should do in order to curtail, this in excesses in the future. Martin Kpebu has been referring to the service, instructions of the police. I don't think that is enough. Since 1993, when Chapter 5, of the Constitution came into operation, we have failed or neglected to enact a Human Rights Act to beef it up. I think we should do that as a matter of agency, and then make sure that we spell out, quite clearly, from the time of arrest, for instance, all the way to the time of a trial, okay, or matters relating to bail, etc. What should be taken into account in order not to violate the fundamental rights, of our citizens?
Thank you, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, and a number of your messages. Good morning, Alfred. This is Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired as security expert. Thank you for the message. It says, great discussion this morning. I think it's essential for the Attorney General's office to disaggregate the legal action and show how many politically tainted persons have been prosecuted.
In fact,
prosecuting
I was going to say that those that he's counting are just the underlings.
Exactly.
These are the small fries.
All right.
So,
but he mentioned, anyway.
The financiers, the kingpins, like Akunta Mining,
to
me. That is where, so Mr. Ocansey, I've been saying that, can you imagine how it would have been if Akunta Mining and Chairman Wontumi were prosecuted? The signal, the kind of domino effect, the optics, everything. People would have abandoned ship that, hey, if even MPP regional chairman is being prosecuted, then who am I? You see?
Alfred, I think you should. He has the potential one day of becoming the AG. So ask him that is he promising Ghanaians that if one day he's found himself on that hot seat, he would push for the Human Rights Acts to be promulgated, so that one day, because then when they become big, now you can find him here, but tomorrow when you call him, he won't come. So we can quote him.
I don't know the crystal ball that you are looking into, which gives you the conviction that Dr. Dominic.
I am. It could even be Martin Pebu, but he.
You want to be Attorney General?
For me, I think they should make justice
minister. If I'm not tied to a political party, why not? Oh, I would do it. If I'm not tied to we should separate the Attorney General from
ask the two of them.
Justice.
Ask the two of them,
like in the UK.
Promulgate
and then give a non-political person
so that one day, if you don't do it, be my slave. Did you hear him? He said it's a promise.
It's a promise.
He said it's a promise.
Perfect. Today is what? The 28th?
Yes, he said it's a promise.
No, but I don't even need to be Attorney General in order to do that. I can bring a private member's bill in Parliament.
Well, it's too late.
I mean, I think that
it's too late now.
Oh, it's not too late.
Gentlemen, thank you. It says prosecuting girl boys and leaving the big men and women isn't enough. Colonel Festus Abuaje, thank you very much for your message. And this one here from Musa Abatu and Aswasi says, the police's unprofessional handling of the Democracy Administration, condemned by groups like IDEC, erodes public trust in law enforcement. We must unite behind the Stop Galamsey Now agenda. The focus must be on why they were on the streets in the first place, and then we can tackle the other matters as we go on. Mohammed from Salaga says, good morning, Alfred. Please, I want to know where is the Peace Council and where is our Council of State in the face of this ECG register brouhaha? Well, that's the next matter which I want to spend just some minutes on. Good morning, Mr. Ocansey. I think Martin Pebu, he says, has hit the nail right on the head, and we must begin to, as he says, question the law as it is. I congratulate him for Pebu number 1, 2, 3, 4. I did not know the details of it until this morning. And did he go to court to challenge the law and win with his money? Well, yes. I mean, look, he financed all of these in the public interest. Yeah. And you know. So
and more are pending. There are more in the courts.
Yes. Prince Menka says, does Adam Bonano the devastation to our ecosystem? Does he know how long it will take to recover? This is the anger protesters were amplifying. It shouldn't be difficult to appreciate that. This one, Theophilus says, good morning. Please, the president said he is prepared to put his presidency on the line, and not he has put his presidency on the line. I think I made that matter clear the other day. Prepared to put is the willingness to do something. Putting is a decision made to do something. These are two different things. Please let us not twist his statement, because the president only made a statement to entice audience. It's quite a long one. This one from Issa Money says, yes, okay, with that I will skip this one. Says Mensa Majid from Bichim became Toronto and didn't know this place. I still don't understand why people who try to demonstrate against the rampant galamsey in the country have been imprisoned. You say, thank you very much. This one here says, please ask that's Honorable Dominic Ayeni, what was his advice to the IGP then when horse tails were used to beat demonstrators during John Mahama's regime? So I don't know.
Gabi himself wrote that when he was beaten in the Let My Vote Count demonstration, John Mahama wasn't happy. That somebody went to report. One of the police, but JM said no, he wasn't happy about that. But what is Akufo-Addo saying? Now, you know, acting President Bawumia, you know, Bawumia has been in charge for some time now because Akufo-Addo is out of the country. So this violation of citizens' human rights is under Bawumia. It's not Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo is in New York. Yeah.
Nana Crunchy.
I'm surprised you are holding brief for Akufo-Addo.
No, so it means about one who wants to come. Okay, you see what a driver's mate will do to you. You see driver's mate who hasn't caught...
Let me finish the reading. Nana Kojo Crunchy says, it is obvious that this whole business of arresting and manhandling of the protesters and the high-handedness of their trial is a deliberate diversionary strategy to take the conversation away from the real ongoing ecological genocide. Yeah. The need for the president to call for a state of emergency, ban all small-scale mining, and put in place an alternative livelihood program for the so-called legal small-scale miners. We need a serious and resolute clamp down on this menace, or we are all dead 10 years from now, because even eating locally grown plantain may cause cancer. Let's think and see through this situation. Nana Kojo Krante, thank you very much for this message, and that rounds up a number of them. I obviously, as expected, the 1,683 of your messages, I acknowledge all of them. I've read as many as I could, but as we're going to go into the next issue, thank you so much for the many messages. The Electoral Commission...
Mr. Ocansey, if I may interrupt you 30 seconds. Did we talk about the length of incarceration? Oh, Charlie, the boys are in for 2 weeks. So
yes, and that's what you said you were going. Because, I mean, to the extent that if...
That decision was too harsh.
Even though bail is not absolute and automatic.
Yes.
Where the...
Yes, the way the judge exercises the discretion is difficult to follow. Extremely difficult to follow. So they are in for 2 weeks. Why? Why? When Chairman Wuntumi is working, these guys, the judge said their addresses have not been ascertained. Meanwhile, what police do is that before they release you, they'll go and check your address. The sureties, before the sureties are even allowed to sign, police will go and check. So this decision, Justice Obiri Ebua, this one there is hard. It's hard. It's a nice man. Look, I've won a number of cases in this court. Very, very good. But that day, even whilst the bail application was being moved, I looked at his demeanor, how he interacted with Stremsai and the rest. You know, I said, oh, this one, the bail will go through. Then when he finished, he declined.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm spending just some few minutes on the next issue. We're going to the ECG matter because Dr. Dominic Ayeni is here. And then the MPP has also indicated that they identified some errors after perusing the provisional voters register. They are going to submit those errors to the Electoral Commission and have them corrected. In fact, during the week, there was a court ruling in Kumasi, specifically this is the Meisha South constituency, where some members of the MPP actually took an issue to court with respect to some voters who were wrongly or illegally transferred. The court ruled that that process should be reversed, in fact. Don't know if you've seen that.
Yes.
And now this is an issue that has also triggered further conversation as to what could have been the extent of the errors that we are seeing. And that's why the NDC is convinced that they would want the Electoral Commission consider a forensic audit. The EC responded to the NDC's petition. We'll put portions of that on the screen right now. But essentially, the Electoral Commission says that, one, they have the systems and structures. The IT system is robust to identify all of this and correct them. And then also the period, even though they admit that they did not make the register available to you, the parties, in good time, it was enough time for you to peruse it before the registration, that's the voter exhibition, started. The exercise started on the 20th. The NDC, you say you got it on the 19th, a day before, 1 p.m. the day before. Then you had to do the work of identifying all of these errors. They say that they want you around the table to see the full extent of the errors that you have identified. But then again, Dr. Bosman Asari says that your errors have been corrected as well. Now, do these responses, as in this document by the Electoral Commission, satisfy you as a party?
I don't think that they do satisfy us. I have not read the document that you have referred to.
It's a 9-page.
Yeah, I heard of it in the media. I tried to search for it. Probably I should have asked you for it before coming here, you know. But you see, when you have a situation where the, institution of state that is supposed to be a neutral arbiter in the conduct of elections in the country, that is supposed to adhere to the constitutional principles of probity, accountability, and transparency, is being dodgy when it comes to the execution of its own mandate. Then we have cause to be worried, because from the document that you have read, the EC has claimed that its IT system is robust. And as a result of the robustness of the IT system, they are confident that nothing untoward has happened, all right? Or whatever, has happened can be easily, corrected using the IT system. Okay, Alfred, we have been here in this country when it was reported that someone in Tamale South constituency took the ID cards, the voter ID cards of, voters in Tamale South, 26 of them, and virtually used that, okay, without their being present to transfer their votes to Pusga. How did they do that? A robust IT system should have prevented that from happening, given the fact that they were not present, given the fact that their biometrics were not taken, all right, before the transfer was effected. Okay? But without the biometrics, and without them even knowing that they had, a transfer was being done behind their back, all right, these transfers were effected to Pusga. All right? Using the IT system. In fact, the Tamale South offender did not take the ID cards and go to Pusga to do it. They did it in Tamale. So there's an electronic footprint that shows that in Tamale South, these were, affected, all right, and it was also, allowed by the Pusga, person. Okay? Even if the ID cards were taken to Pusga, right, it means that the 26 persons must have been in Pusga for for the transfer to be effected.
Yeah.
All right,
they have to physically
without being there, without being physically present, and then the the system allowed the transfer to take place, meaning that the system is not as robust as is being claimed. All right, it is thanks to the vigilance of the able, Elections Directorate personnel headed by the Honorable, Omani Buama, through their diligence, through their vigilance, that, they detected that these violations have taken place, that these errors have been made. So if the evidence has been, presented to you, okay, and you have accepted that, the Electoral Commission has not denied that the errors have occurred, right? The admission that the errors have occurred in and of themselves, that admission in and of itself shows that the IT system is not robust. Okay?
because fact that they admit
that the errors have occurred and that they have corrected the errors. Okay. Now, if you look, the Electoral Commission is supposed to be, is independent under the Constitution. All right. But as Gbadegbe GSC said in Abu Ramadan and the report, Abu Ramadan and Attorney General, the Electoral Commission is independent, but is subject to the Constitution and the laws of this country. If you look at the CI 91, that is a public, elections, voter registration instrument, okay, 2016, CI 91. There is a mandatory provision to the effect that the provisional register should be given to each political party, registered political party. It is for no reason that the lawmaker, right, the EC itself brought this instrument to Parliament in 2016. All right, and Parliament passed the instrument for them. It is for no reason that Parliament, agreed or enacted a law that says that you have to give a copy of the provisional register to the political parties. The provisional register is not a photo album meant to be given to them for them to just, look at beautiful pictures of registered voters. It is meant to be given to them so that they can look in, having participated in the process of registration, they can, peruse the register and carefully, detect, if possible, all right, any mistakes that have been made with respect to the register. And that is what the NDC is doing. And you have already, as you have already also cited the case of the Manshia Saf, issue, all right, that I think over 1,000 transfers were challenged and they were successful. So it means that there are concrete, issues with the voter register as we have it now. All right? So if we are calling for a forensic audit, there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact,
the Electoral Commission says there's really no need for it because their systems and structures now is doing the work.
No, they haven't demonstrated that, to the NDC and to the all the political parties and to the citizens of this country. In fact, they are supposed to account to the citizens of this country for the work that they do. All right. So if there are concerns, okay, for instance, how do I know that on election day I am not going to wake up only to find that my name is in Adenta and not in Zorungu? I need to be sure that there will not be any displacement of my name, all right, from Zorungu to Adenta. So as a citizen, I should be concerned that these things are happening. And the Electoral Commission has to assure me that the register, if certified, because under CI 91, all right, as amended by CI 126, okay, the certification process, okay, means that at the end of certification, you cannot raise an issue again about deficiencies in the register. That is the register that will now head us into the election. All right. So at this level where the provisional register is being contested, it is only fair to all stakeholders and to the citizens of this country that the Electoral Commission should do the right thing, okay, by allowing for a forensic audit to take place. In any case, the same Madam Jean Mensah, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, whilst at IE, when the MPP was calling for a forensic audit, I think around late 2015, early 2016, all right, she supported that call. Is it because it was someone else who was on the seat that she thought that the person wasn't doing a good job and therefore there was no robust IT system and therefore there was a need for a forensic audit? That forensic audit took place. In fact, even after it took place, there was still litigation, and that is how come Abu Ramadan #1 and Abu Ramadan #2 took place in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ordered the Electoral Commission, then headed by Madam Charlotte Osei, all right, to delete, expunge a number of names, you know, of persons who were identified as either, you know, dead or underage or not otherwise qualified to register. Okay, and that was done. So, in the interest of transparency, it is only fair that they accept with humility, okay, that they have not done a very good job with the registration. That the system as they have it, the IT system that as they have it, has been breached, as evidence in the Puska, issue that I have raised, and then also by the evidence of, you know, the evidence that was presented by the NDC to them. Okay.
You are asking to have access to their IT protocols to know who gets into the system, who has access into the system, and through which back end and so on. They also say that that's really not necessary.
No. It's necessary. It's necessary because let me tell you something, Alfred. When the register is compiled, it is compiled into something that looks like it's a booklet like this, right? And it is given to the political parties. The IT system contains the electronic version of this booklet. So if you give me the electronic version, if you give me the hard copy of the booklet, all right, and the hard copy is supposed to be, let's for want of a better expression, a carbon copy of the electronic version. And I'm telling you that, okay, you know, I could look at this book from the last page to the first page, right? When you talk about back end and front end, that is what it means, all right? Now, electronically, let me go in and then verify from the back end, okay, whether what is contained in the register, okay, is authentically reflected in what you have given me. Why is that a difficult thing to do? Why is that an invasion of the independence of the Electoral Commission? Because you are just simply complying with what the law has said. The Electoral Commission is an administrative, you know, a body. And under Article 23 of the Constitution, they are supposed to act in a fair and reasonable manner and to comply with all the requirements imposed on them by law. That is what Article 21, says. What does it mean to act fairly? Okay? Acting fairly means that all stakeholders, right, you must take their concerns into account. All right? You see, there is a certain perception, or let me say, their conduct is giving rise to a certain perception. Okay? Whether rightly or wrongly, they are being perceived as being in bed with the MPP. And that is not good for their independence. The chairperson and the commissioners must demonstrate that, okay, they are, independent, neutral arbiters. Okay? And that they are treating the NDC as fairly as they are treating the MPP.
Okay.
But it appears that now, because the MPP is not concerned about whatever is happening, okay, they don't really care. But let me say that if the MPP begins to raise issues about this register, Jean Mensa will ask for an audit to take place.
Well, here's the General Secretary of the party, Justin Frimpong Kodia, indicating they've also seen errors in the register. Take a look.
Detected some errors in the register. Some including dead people in the register, and some people whose name has been transferred, or some people who wanted to do transfers but has not been effected. All these things are what we are planning to send to the Electoral Commission next week, based on what we have detected. And we expect the Electoral Commission to use their internal mechanism to address all those issues.
Well, so that's Justin Frimpong Kodia. So you said they're also concerned, is it not? Is this not an expression of concern that they have also identified the errors?
Well, but you see, it then buttresses, you know, the genuineness or legitimacy of the demands being made by the NDC. If the two major political parties, all right, have come to the conclusion that there are errors on the register, then it means that the register, to all intents and purposes, is not fit for purpose.
Great, but it's the process of correction. The Electoral Commission stands by the position that they have the competence to correct these errors. You say that to the extent that you committed those errors yourself. You've admitted to some extent of the criminality in the case of the Pusiga situation. Then you are not the same persons to correct these criminal acts.
Yes.
You want a forensic audit.
Yeah.
I think that's where the departure is.
Yeah, but Alfred, the forensic audit cannot be conducted by the EC, right? By the EC itself. Does the EC have the capabilities to be able to conduct a forensic audit of its own register? It does not. You know, I have been in this game for, I would say, 12 years now, almost. In December will be 12 years. All right. I have dealt with the EC at all levels, from the constituency level to the regional level, all the way to the national level. They do not have the capabilities, technically, to conduct a forensic audit. And that is the only way by which we can say if the IT system has in any way been compromised, that may lead, you know, to illegal vote transfers and so on and so forth. Because look, I mean, this is a very serious issue that, I mean, can easily compromise the integrity of our democratic process. Okay? We can have a situation where, let's say, I mean, you have a marginal constituency. I'm just giving an example.
Okay.
A marginal constituency where usually the MPP or the NDC wins by, let's say, 1,000, votes. All right. All you need to do electronically is to move 3,000 votes, you know, of known MPP persons to that constituency or known NDC persons to that constituency, and you will tilt the balance, in favor of the party whose members have been transferred to that. That is electronic gerrymandering. Okay, and that is a big concern for all of us. The will of the people must truly reflect what it is. That at the end of the day, when voters come out and they queue in the sun or in the rain and then vote, okay, their preference must be reflected. Not that you sit in the office, in the comfort of your office, and basically transfer votes, you know, that will tilt the balance of power in favor of a candidate, okay, who will not be the candidate, who would otherwise not have been the candidate for that constituency. All right? Right. And even in terms of the presidential, okay, let me just use the Pusga example, for instance. All right? So Pusga, you have 26 people were sent from Tamale South. And you know that Tamale South, my junior brother, the former leader, Honorable Haruna Idris's constituency, is predominantly NDC. NDC wins there by about 85–90% in every election. All right. So, I mean, on a balance of probabilities, these 26 voters would likely be NDC voters. What you are doing is to disenfranchise them by sending them to Pusga. Because on election day, right, they go to Tamale South, they go to their polling station, and they won't be able to vote. Now, Alfred, just multiply 26, okay, by the number of polling stations.
Though.
Pardon?
There's 38 actually.
Yeah,
38, not 26.
Or no, is it? I thought they started off with 26.
No,
so,
it's actually 38.
Okay, 38. Okay, so take 38 and multiply the 38 by, let's say, 8,000 polling stations. All right. Presidentially, if they even estimate that half of these polling stations, all right, are NDC dominant polling stations, okay, you multiply 38, okay, by 4,000. How many do you get? Right? That is over 400,000.
Yes.
And that can tilt the presidential election in favor of Bawumia very, very easily. So electronically, you can disenfranchise and win the election. That's what I call the electronic gerrymandering. You basically disenfranchise voters that you know will vote along a certain party line, and then make sure that once they are disenfranchised on that day, that party is going to lose over 400,000 votes. So these are very serious, major issues that the Electoral Commission should not be, toying with.
Well, you asked for a re-exhibition of the register after the correction of these errors. Right. They will do that electronically. They will do it online.
Well, see, when I saw that, Alfred, that's a very laughable, response to our demand. You know why? My constituency, Bolga East, all right, is partly urban, partly peri-urban. I will even say urban. It's partly peri-urban, all right, and mostly rural. How many people have smartphones, tablets, or computers in Bolga East to be able to go, and verify electronically, that, their names are on the register?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if during the process of the physical, exhibition, errors were detected, and through the diligence of the NDC, we brought these errors to your attention. You are now telling us that you have corrected the errors, and you are now going to put it on the website for all citizens to go to the website to go and then, verify. I think that this is laughable, honestly.
I said it will be at no cost to the citizens.
At no cost to who?
It says the commission provided the the provisional voters register. These are their responses, which you had not indicated. So you raised a question about for instance, the smartphone or internet penetration and so on, or even the smartphone penetration.
Right.
Not necessarily. Well, they said they're going to use a USSR, so USSD. I beg your pardon, USSD code, which would not necessarily have you to use a smartphone for that matter.
Even if you are talking about ordinary phones, what is the level of penetration?
And then also the literacy of it. Yes.
Right. And so the point is that there's a major stakeholder that has identified the errors. Okay. If it will cost you maybe 2 million Ghana cedis to hire an independent, audit firm to do the forensic audit. How much is that compared to the damage that you can do to our democracy by not allowing this to happen? Okay? So, the cost implication, the cost argument is not, one that is acceptable.
Okay. So the commission intends to implement an online exhibition of the PVR. That's what's on the screen. At no cost to registered voters. Voters will be able to report on anomalies with their details within a time frame to be made available to the public. The voters' register will be displayed online until election day. That's a response to you.
So are they saying that on election day, if I find my name not in the register at my polling station, let's say I go online and I find that my name is in Accra, I will call Jim Mensah's office and they will now get my name back to the Zorongu Social Center Catholic, polling station A, for me to go and cast my vote before the close of of the day. These are very ridiculous. Excuse my language, but they are very ridiculous responses to an otherwise serious issue.
So live here on Key Point. We're going to go for this quick break. When we're back, Bemboachi is joining us on Zoom right now because I want to find out whether he has an idea of why persons within the ECG are resigning for personal reasons. Kelly Gajakpo was the first, he was the board chair, former board chair of ECG. I think in his statement announcing resignation, he pointed to personal reasons. Samuel Jubik Mahama resigned this week, pointing to personal reasons. What's carrying them away, really? We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
Phoenix Club, uplifting women. Phoenix Club, uplifting women. Phoenix Club, uplifting women. Thank you very much for having me here today. The nation builder John Mahama and Professor Nana Jane are bringing you the Women's Development Bank. It is a very special bank run by only women, to serve only women. The aim is to empower millions of women across the country. The bank will have branches all over the nation to provide you with loans with very low interest and on very flexible terms.
Madam, I run a small makeup and nail bar. Do I qualify for a loan?
No need to bother, my sister. I mean hairdressers, market women, women-owned online businesses, female graduates, women in the corporate world, traders, agri, women in all fields qualify for loans. With John Mahama and Professor Nana Jane at the helm, the Ghanaian woman will surely rise.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere.
8K. Hey, you get an 8K. Get a packing from your one line. Hey, wait.
You can put it on his tab. This is my man. Good
luck.
We'll wait here. We are star 712. I'm on dialing the magic numbers. Star 712. Now welcome to the luckiest. And now with me at ticket. You can buy for yourself or your loved one.
Mommy, tell mommy who's here.
You're buying for me, right?
Or who else?
Oh.
Let me choose buy tickets for others.
Love you, boo boo.
Maybe straight to option 4.
Now we try. You need to buy tickets worth 50 Ghana to qualify. Yes, you can buy random or preferred tickets.
I'm choosing random tickets.
Listen, if you buy the random ticket, the system chooses a random number for you. But if you buy the preferred, you get to input your own preferred 5 digits. 5.
Baby, give me your 5 numbers.
And how much are we buying?
Babe, look at the body and buy you.
With your body,
So
Hey, never. Tread cautiously.
Now follow the prompts and confirm. Now the luckiest.
The luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. T&Cs apply.
Enadia, mighty power. This is haputi.
Na ka me prayer topic on Erade ma me ko delay shows. E bon paya.
It's a me bad delay. I mean, Ghana, you know, you delay. Ha na uba interview and I just say, who ye drew.
I just say I'll come on your show.
Make I pa.
Femi ma make a chance say na me ko delay shows so ka chance say ye Erade na dem be you.
Say.
Delay mama show na me just say e di na be akodo no. Say your friend wa ma.
Delay show is like the apex. Into one master the answer being CI or carrier.
As when you are GB.
The Delay Show is brought to you by Telecel, Yas Sanitary Pad, Nasco, Betway, Gino, Pepsodent, Delay Foods, Tabia Takum.
The Delay Show, Sunday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
Bang, bang, bing, bing. Which of these professions would Jason or Droid choose?
Oh, God.
What does it mean when somebody says barking up the wrong tree?
Supporting wrong.
Daddy, papa, 1 million, yamido.
Here to Win shows Sundays at 4 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Kivo 4-in-1 Gary Mix, Kivo 100% natural hot pepper,
Heaven Black mosquito spray and coil.
If you're Ghanaian and you love your rice and your curry, then be interested in the task for the week.
And as for John, whatever we touch, it becomes gold.
Together, we will make this happen.
Don't underestimate us at all. What you're going to do in the kitchen, the submission that will do the talking.
To the other schools, I don't know about them, but we are coming with the best of them.
Which secret recipe is going to make the difference?
Kitchen Wars is brought to you by Kivo Foods, Everpack, Mazim Foods, Miss Cookie Spices, Chana Shito.
Been around the world, baby, never seen a girl.
Man, Griffy, Naguchi, and
Like come with the keka. Set off for my face.
Mentor, the Rising Star Edition. Are you a musician with a proven track record of EPs, singles, and music videos on streaming platforms? Yes, you heard right. This is for you. Join our virtual audition. Submit your entry by scanning the QR code on your screen now or use the link below. The deadline for entries is 2nd October 2024. Mentor Season 13, The World Awaits You.
Welcome back to Key Point on TV3. We are live on 3FM 92.7, a number of radio stations across the country. Mansa Musa from the UK says, Alfred, if the EC says they've rectified all discrepancies in the register, the more they should make it available for scrutiny by stakeholders and others. What the EC has to do is to allow a quick audit, because now not much will be found in respect of anomalies. During the scrutiny, the robustness of the IT system should be demonstrated. This should be the best thing to do to bring satisfaction from all sides. You see, Mansa Musa, thank you very much for the message. This one here says, I have information that the Electoral Commission has instructed all its district officers to do some sort of an audit. It says, I'm also an EC officer. Well, thank you. We'll check that as well. Thank you.
Like us, they've been told to clean.
Yes, they're doing some sort of audit.
Yeah. But let us see, let the party see. Don't do it in your own closet. We want to see.
Colonel Festus Abwaji again says, Alfred, data matters. As of January 2024, Ghana had approximately 39 million mobile connections. That's 103.1% of the population. However, is the EC aware that mobile phone penetration in Ghana's rural communities is lower compared to urban areas? As of 2023, rural mobile phone penetrations was around 70%, reflecting challenges such as limited infrastructure and lower income levels. That's to buttress the point, Dr. Dominic Ayine, you were making earlier. I thank you very much for that information as well. Colonel Festus Abwaji, much appreciated. You're so live here on Key Point, also on 3FM 92.7 and TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and on DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. You can share your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions with us. This morning, I am clothed by Kogra Clothing. Kogra Clothing, the best version of you. Locate them on the Spintex Road, 18 Junction, opposite the Allied Oil Filling Station, ground floor, same building with the Ghana Made store. Contact them on these numbers: 0244 238 341, 0244 238 341. That is 0244 238 341. You can WhatsApp them on 0500 9099. 0500 9099. Choose Kogra Clothing. Choose right. Let's hear from the board chairman of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Alexander Penyumaken, who's also the majority leader, giving details of the matters happening in that company. Take a look.
There's a new board. And in fact, this is our second meeting. Or let me say, essentially, this is the first meeting of the board. This emergency meeting was the first meeting of the board. When we were sworn in, it was a familiarization. All right, this is the first meeting of the board. So I think that that's a misplaced position taken by him. However, I accept the fact that we must place our shoulders to the wheel for reforms. I mean, from outside and coming in. I think that ECG can be very efficient if we subject ourselves to reforms. And reform would involve engaging all stakeholders internally and communicating these to the external stakeholders. Our financial situation, yes, we wouldn't want to become bankrupt.
And Ben Boache is a secretary of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Mr. Boache, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Alfred.
So the board chair, as you heard him, is parrying away that call for the board to be dissolved, which, except the likes of you, have made. So it's a new board. They've not been in office for long. So why do you want them dissolved or sacked?
We didn't call for the board to be dissolved. We are aware it's a new board. We talked about the management exiting their job because they have failed to deliver value to the Ghanaian people. We know the circumstances at the organization, and we couldn't have called for the dissolution of a new board.
You want the entire management, not Samuel Dubik alone?
The entire management of ECG has to be dissolved, reformed, and replaced with efficient management that can actually look at the circumstances of the people of Ghana and what ECG is doing to the budget of our nation and deliver value. And that is what we are missing. And earlier I heard you question why people will be resigning.
In fact, that's my next question to you, because Kelly Gajepo, when he resigned earlier in the year, said he was doing so for personal reasons. And Samuel Dubik Mahama, in his resignation this week, also in communicating to us, he says he was resigning for personal reasons. So what's happening there?
No, I think my answer to that is that when people are poor at their job, regardless of what reason they give, we can only thank God for it. I mean, this is ECG that has grown in waste and mismanagement over the period, creating losses from 295 million in 2017 to 9.7 billion in 2022. By the time we get a full picture of what happened in 2023, we're talking about 13 to 15 billion Ghana cedis of losses. That's how terrible they have managed the business. And therefore, I mean, we can only be thankful when such people exit their job. And we have been questioning over time how we have people managing an organization that terribly and not delivering value. And the budget keep paying for this weight. Alfred, the amount of money we spend on social investment, capital investment in education, agriculture, health, gender, social protection, and all of that, it's less than 30% of how much we give to ECG to survive. So ECG is bankrupt without the state, in essence. And it's a critical time for us to look at how we resolve that permanently and take that burden of the budget. Beyond the debt that we see in the books of ECG, also other debts that are sitting with government that have to be paid and also contingent on the budget. For gas supply alone, we are in excess of $500 million of non-payment. To the Standard Chartered Bank alone, over $400 million of debt because ENI draw down on LCs when gas has been utilized to generate power and no revenue is coming from there. And therefore they go to our banks and then take the guarantees from the bank. So that is how this whole sector has been managed. And if ECG doesn't get its act together, we'll keep sacrificing everything we have as a state to pay the electricity bill when electricity is just business everywhere. You have to sell, make money, and pay everybody in the value chain. But in Ghana, it's just been politics and not business. And we need to find a way to change that so that we can invest in our people. Politics and not business. I see the trend graph on the screen, and just for the benefit of you and our listeners on radio, in 2020, we saw just some 822 million gain or profit sort of posted there. It's been a streak of losses over the period. In fact, that was in 2020, I beg your pardon. 2020, it's been a streak of losses, 1.9 billion in 2021, 10.21 billion in 2022, and it's been continuing over the period till now. You refer to some over $400 million debt that ECG has on its books. Is that different from what the IPPs are demanding as well? The IPP debt is different from the gas debt because that is fuel. So the IPPs are owed for their capacity, charges and power that they have generated. But they also use gas that is guaranteed by the budget, the government of Ghana. So if ECG is not able to pay for the gas, government has to step in to pay. And because of the guarantees that are actually aligned with those gas investments, they usually will go attack our LCs with Standard Chartered Bank. Even as we speak, we are at the brink of attacking World Bank guarantee. If government doesn't find money to replenish the LCs, because ordinarily when the LCs are drawn down below 410 million or so, the World Bank guarantee should be triggered. I don't know why it hasn't triggered, at this point. There's perhaps some negotiations in the back end to avert that. But that would be dire if World Bank guarantee is triggered at this crucial moment, because we'll be next to Argentina to have done that, to have attacked World Bank guarantees.
I see. Now, what's accounted for this low collection rate of ECG? I mean, the revenue they collect for the power that they are distributing. Because the average collection, as per the PRC's own document, is about 43% thereabout. They've not hit 50% before for as long as I can remember. Why is that?
I think it's poor management. It's almost as if when ECG is handed to you, you do what you can do for yourself and not for the organization. Every decision you track is procurement driven, and it's so inefficient that it doesn't generate value. I mean, 2 years back, we were struggling to appreciate why ECG will shut down its own application that it has developed. It has procured engineers in-house to build an app and buy APIs to be able to sell power, digitalize their systems, and be more efficient. And suddenly, management comes up one day and said that system is inefficient. Somebody has hacked it. People are selling power at the back end without the management knowing. And the solution was to shut down that system and outsource the service. And I was like, I mean, the banks and all institutions of our time are building robust IT departments to be able to address their problems. If you have seen a problem, you resolve it internally. If people have to be sacked, you sack them and recruit engineers that can deliver value. But they decided to outsource the entire department to Haptel at an exorbitant cost to the company through sole source procurement, where, I mean, we are now told by an agreement that we have seen that they were paying 171 million for the development of the software, right, and the backend infrastructure that was required.
171
million Ghana cedis for the app. And beyond that, also, we have had communication from the company that developed the app saying that they actually got, about $25 million for the development of the app. So the inconsistency alone creates a gap of over 300 million Ghana cedis, because over 200 million Ghana cedis, I should say. Because if you convert $25 million, you are in about a region of about 350 million Ghana cedis. And ECG says they have paid 171 million Ghana cedis for it. So that inconsistency alone, we have to clarify it. Beyond that, cumulatively, the company will be charging us close to 3% every month for other engagements they have with payment systems, and then also their own charge of about 0.95% of total revenue. This is a company that has developed an app for ECG, and they are staying on to manage the app, and they are charging 0.95% of every revenue that comes in. And imagine ECG collecting about 1 billion cedis every month. In fact, they're supposed to do 2 billion cedis every month.
Wow.
And for managing an app that we have paid for, somebody takes 0.95%. And also bank transactions that the bank will go, the company will go through to transfer the money that they have collected on behalf of ECG back to ECG. We're going to pay them about 0.85% of total revenue every month for doing that. So cumulatively, you're talking upwards 30 million Ghana cedis for the company for delivering that service that was being delivered in-house for ECG. And the worst part of it is that since the company took over, revenue accounting has been worse. They have not generated value to us. They have not increased revenue in any way, because you look at the tariff adjustment, ECG's tariff for ECG has increased over 70% in real time over the past 2 years. All right. So for business as usual, ECG should account for that adjustment in revenue before anything else. But they tell us about a nominal adjustment in collection, but not the tariff that we have actually adjusted for them. And then you benchmark that against increase in power sales, because more consumption has happened. We are consuming more power than we used to in the past 2 years. They won't account for all of that, all right? But just to convince the public that they are doing better by just collecting marginal revenue than they used to, which is not what we are demanding. We are demanding how much power you have sold and how much revenue should actually come to be able to pay the value chain. So
certainly
that contract is not performance driven. It's just collect revenue, whatever you collect, take your share and give us the difference. That is not management. That is just screaming off the state assets.
And is it the Haptel thing you're talking about? The Haptel
Yeah, that's a
software?
Haptel contract.
It's a matter. I have a few documents on my table on that one, so we'll get into it.
But you
Mr.
have
Boache,
already said that the vice president's company.
We're looking into it.
Close links to Haptel.
We're looking.
Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia.
We're looking into it.
Connection to Haptel.
We're looking into it. Ben Boache, thank you so much for this, and thank you for this detail. Thank you for joining us here on Key Point. Ben Boache is Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Also, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, I thank you so much. He is the Member of Parliament for the Bolgatanga East Constituency, a former Deputy Attorney General, and a distinct lecturer of law in this country. Also, Dr. Adam Bona, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you. He's also a security analyst, and then also it will happen. Thank you. To you as well, Lawyer Martin Pebu number 1, 2, 3, 4. The nation appreciates you for God and country. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a great weekend and keep watching TV3 and listening to 3FM.